fantasy team stock could go down. You should take wide receivers early. Why? Because wide receivers are the second most important position in fantasy. You simply can't have too many. Remember, running backs and receivers comprise at least 4 of your 9 roster spots. You need deep talent at both positions to survive a long season. Be patient at quarterback. Sure, we'd all love to have these guys. But don't forget, there are a lot of good fantasy QBs. In 2022, 18 different quarterbacks averaged more than 15 fantasy points per game. And of the 15 players who appeared on the most championship round teams in 2022, just 2 of them were quarterbacks. Yes, you can win your fantasy league with an Allen, Hurts, or Mahomes, but you can also win by keeping up with the Joneses. Draft a tight end first or last. Tight end has a top tier of 1 and then a group of solid options, but depth at the position makes the next group of tight ends almost interchangeable. So if you don't get this guy and you follow my advice and target running backs and wide receivers early, don't panic. You can wait on tight end and still win your league. In fantasy football, defense doesn't win championships. 2022's top fantasy defense, the New England Patriots, entered the season as an afterthought and were drafted in less than a quarter of leagues. The point? Defense is the least predictable position in fantasy. Yet someone in your league will still draft the defense early. Don't be that person. Finding breakout players late in drafts wins leagues, so remember, upside matters late. 5 of the top 15 scoring receivers at year's end were drafted 30th or later at the position. Late in your draft, always look to young players with paths to playing time. Upside, upside, upside. Here's something else. Know the lingo. One example, streaming. Streaming means to use a bench or waiver wire find as a short-term starter due to a favorable matchup. Some successful managers stream tight end, defense, and kicker all season long. You could be next. Remember, your draft night roster won't be your week 18 roster. Trades, savvy use of the waiver wire, injuries, all will transform your team. And that's the fun of fantasy football. Draft night is just the start. Get in the game and go to ESPN.com/FFL or download the ESPN Fantasy app to draft with the #1 fantasy game.
You're watching the ESPN Fantasy Football Marathon.
Welcome to the Fantasy Football Draft Simulcast. Skubie Mageza here alongside Erin, Dolan, and Erin. It is that time of the year. Football is back. You see our names right there on the football, not just on the lower third. I'm excited, and I can't wait to see what we're going to have in the mock draft today. Fantasy football is a really great indicator that the time is here, and if it wasn't for fantasy football, I probably wouldn't be as much in love with the NFL as I am right now.
I feel the same way, but also from a betting perspective. You guys know I like to make money on the NFL. I watch so much of it. I study so much of it. So I'll be sprinkling in a little betting stuff throughout the show.
For real. I've had my betting apps on pause ever since football season ended. All I know is my bank account.
Why, because you were down so bad?
My bank account better be ready this year because it's going down. So we're getting you ready for the draft happening on ESPN today, and we're going to get you prepared with the show on X. We're on Facebook, we're on YouTube, and we're on ESPN app. You'll see exclusive interviews and discussions that you won't get anywhere else, so stick around. If you haven't signed up for the league, for your league yet, sign up at ESPN.com/FFL or on the ESPN Fantasy app. It's completely free. We are the #1 fantasy app in the world and the #1 fantasy game in the U.S. What are you looking forward to the most in this draft?
For starters, I'm looking forward to see how many shirts Anita Marks is going to interchange, because last season it was absolutely ridiculous. And then I want to know who's the best trash talker.
Ooh.
We need a little bit of this like back and forth. I'm excited for it, though.
And that's what fantasy football is all about. Trash talking with your friends.
Yeah.
And the reason why I enjoy it a lot is because it keeps me and some of my high school friends together. And because of fantasy football, we're always together. But we're going to send it over to Fields Yates. They're getting ready for the draft, and they're going to get you ready for your draft by giving you all the insights on how to go. Not fun. I got out school too early.
Oh, it is on right now. Mike Clay with some serious drip taking and making his way into the studio. That looks like a man ready to dominate drafts. Stephania Bell, all business. Is she bossing somebody around? Who is she telling what they need to do for the entire evening to make this a successful draft? Anita Marks scores the #1 overall pick. Is that perhaps a sign of who she might take? Is that like a carry-on bag there? Dan Graziano. Is that Mr. Unlimited? ESPN version? Dan Graziano? What are you listening to right now on your headphones? And certainly not least, but last, Daniel Dopp, who kind of showing that he's got some swag as well. There you see half of the participants in the ESPN Fantasy Football Marathon mock draft. I am Fields Yates. That right there is Mike Clay. What are we doing for the next 3 hours, Mike?
We're going to draft fantasy football players. That's what I've been told to do. That's what we're going to do.
We are going to draft fantasy football teams. You are going to hear from everybody on their picks. We have a draft order of 10 people. We're going to introduce the rest of them in just a moment. But first, the rules, you see them right here. 10-team standard, which for us means PPR scoring. It's a snake draft. In the first 7 rounds, you get to have 60 seconds to make each of your picks. In rounds 8 through 12, you have 45 seconds. So you got to act a little bit faster as we get to the upside sleeper, maybe even kicker or defense territory. The full draft and rosters will be available on ESPN.com following the draft either late tonight or tomorrow. We're going to break it down. We're going to have ourselves a whole bunch of fun, Mike. Shall we go check out the draft order?
Let's do it. Let's roll.
Let's take a look at the draft order. We told you already, Anita Marks has the #1 overall pick. She is wearing a shirt that might give away who she intends to take with that #1 overall pick. Number 2, just behind Anita Marks, we've got Liz Loza on the clock. Adam Schefter, who literally knows who everybody is taking in the first round, all via sources. Eric Moody, number 4. Number 5 is Kevin Negandhi, but I don't actually see Kevin Negandhi here. Daniel Dopp, Stephania Bell, number 7. Mike Clay at 8. I have picked number 9. And number 10 is Dan Graziano. We haven't spotted Kevin Negandhi yet. Does that make things complicated?
He was hosting Sports Center.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. He's double duty.
Well, listen.
Hey, gotta carry the network.
I got to carry the network while you guys are prepping for a draft, right?
Kevin Negandhi.
And I've got to elevate, apparently, the attire on this set. Come on.
Nice to meet you. Show up. Classing up
Welcome, Kevin.
I'm trying. So appreciate that. We don't need a tie, apparently. I was not told that.
There's only one requirement. You have to. You are pop committed to taking Randall Cunningham in the first round. Everything else flies with this show. Welcome aboard.
Well,
Thanks for
listen,
joining us here.
I came prepared.
Look at that.
These are the experts that I'm going to follow throughout. Wait a second, you're all here. You're all here. So I'm going to be in trouble.
Curveball there, Kevin Negandhi, the great Sports Center anchor and an avid fantasy football player. Better than Jeff Goodman. I had to make sure that I got that in there right over this inside joke. Yeah. Here we go. Let's get started here with the first overall pick. Anita Marks, you are officially on the clock.
So as you know, I love my T-shirts.
You do.
And is it Justin Jefferson? Is it C-Mac? Obviously, I came to the table to go with. I can't do it.
Oh my gosh.
It's got to be him. Sorry, Stephania. It's got to be him. Justin Jefferson. Why? Dude's a beast.
Curveball of the night.
That's right.
That took about 15 seconds.
I'm throwing it in the table. That's right. First in every category, right, last season with wide receivers, over 1,400 yards, doesn't get injured. A prolific offense that I think they're going to pass the ball a ton this season because I think they're going to be playing from behind. So I've got to go with him. I'm going Justin Jefferson, #1.
Chalky pick, #1 overall.
very
Liz
dramatic.
Loza now on the clock here.
Yeah, well, forget him. That reveal was all her. My goodness. I was prepared, though, and I am going to go to the running back position. There is a bit of a tie here. We're splitting hairs between Austin Ekeler and Christian McCaffrey. I'm going to take the running back who has led the position in touchdowns in back-to-back seasons. Please give me one Austin Ekeler on Team Loza.
A personal friend of yours as well.
Yes.
So Liz Loza grabs the most valuable running back in fantasy over the past 2 seasons. Mike Clay.
Yeah, more touchdown, or #1 in touchdowns the last 2 seasons in total, 12 more than any other player. He has been dominating in that category.
Yeah.
That does seem pretty good. We can't even say you're biased for your friend Austin Ekeler because that is, I think, the right.
It's a good
Just
pick.
trying to impress Mike at this point.
Okay, Adam Schefter, who again is 2 for 2 in his mock draft so far, is now officially on the clock. Shefty working the phones right now, trying to figure out. Is Jonathan? He's trying to figure out.
Yes, I just texted him to let him know that he is officially a part of Per Sources.
Okay.
And we are going to go at number 3 with Christian McCaffrey.
But you literally just texted him, right?
Yeah.
I'm sitting here like
you're not hurt, right?
Yeah, a little flex.
A little bit.
I'm sitting here, I'm like texting my wife, like, who do you think at pick 9? She's like, I'm texting Christian McCaffrey, so it's a little bit different. So Christian McCaffrey off the board right away.
McCaffrey, again, I'm very happy that you went Austin Ekeler. I love Austin Ekeler at 2, but Christian McCaffrey to me would be the top running back in this draft. And
Did he text back?
No, not yet.
Keep us posted. I'd like to know what his reaction is.
Dan, I don't really think he cares one bit that he's on my fantasy.
Well, that's what I want to know. That's why, So
I mean, if you think about it, like, what does he have going for him in life, right? Like, besides being a world-class football player, like, has the looks of a model, can play the piano. I mean, the guy has pretty much got it all going for him. And he's now on your fantasy team.
Was his babysitter.
Amazing. How about that? All right, now pick number 4, Eric Moody. You were on the clock for your first pick.
Ooh. Decision time.
Is it though?
No.
Is it really a decision?
Really not for me. I was just trying to trick you.
You know, it's really not, because I'm smiling ear to ear with how this is unfolded. So, Team Moody is going to draft and select Jamar Chase.
Right.
Jamar Chase.
I like it.
I'm excited about this. You know the rapport with Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow. Sure. And one thing about Chase, like, he averaged 20 fantasy points per game last year. 5 weeks as a top 5 wide receiver, 3rd in red zone targets. So he is well positioned to repeat his success. So I'm very excited.
Yeah.
Jamar Chase pick number 4. Yeah. So I was going to say, like, we're pretty much like,
Can't argue.
as you'd expect, to the first 4 picks. No curveballs.
Exactly. You don't need much analysis on Chase at this point either, right? It's just like, yeah, we've seen him play.
Yeah,
he's really
football.
good. He's
football. Kevin Negandhi, who showed up 45 seconds late because he was hosting Sports Center, is now on the clock at pick number 5.
You know what's funny? Because when you look at this book, you guys have the mock draft, right?
Yes.
And Eric Moody picks number 5. Oh. And I was like, okay, maybe I'll get some intel on what he's going to do. But he has Jonathan Taylor. Obviously, it came out at a different time.
Do that?
We would be okay with that. No.
What could go wrong?
Not at 5.
By the way, if he were to get traded, 5 would be of value.
Per sources.
I was going to say, where is he getting traded to?
So I feel like the draft changes right around this time at 5 because I'm going to, when you look at average draft position, it just screams out. But not normally would you go with this position, and I've got to go with Travis Kelce.
Oh, wow.
And the reason why is just you look at the Chiefs' offense, you look at what he does. He's consistent as a producer, and you look at the wide receivers that they have, and when you got Mahomes there, you know consistently that Kelce's going to deliver. I also really love his brother, so that really helps. Well, he's not eligible. We can't get centers here on this draft.
You draft Jason Kelce later.
Yeah, exactly. So
rounds
I'm
8 through 12, you can do whatever you want. We just have to get through the first couple hours of the show. Daniel Dopp, you're on the clock as we get to the second half of the first round.
Yeah, this is where it gets tough for me because there's 2 wide receivers on the board, and I like both of them a bunch, and Cooper Kupp and Tyreek Hill.
Yeah.
But because of the fact that Cooper Kupp has been dealing with a hamstring and the Rams just sort of suck, I'm going to go with, I'm just being honest, guys. I'm so sorry about that. I'm so sorry. I'm going to go with Tyreek Hill here.
Right.
Tyreek Hill was unbelievable last year. Over 1,700 receiving yards, 119 catches, 8 touchdowns. The dude's talking about catching 2,000 yards and breaking Calvin Johnson's record this year. How do I not draft Tyreek Hill?
I mean, that was a pretty compelling argument right there. I have nothing to say other than it's time for Starfania, who is officially on the clock.
I'm sorry, did you want him? I'm so sorry, Stefania.
The thing about Stefania is like a World Series of poker player.
I know, the glasses throw me off right now.
Glasses and all.
What she's thinking.
Because otherwise, I have no poker face, so the glasses definitely hiding my excitement at Cooper Kupp still being available because I have made it clear that I am not worried. I even posted something today about how much we trust in Cooper Kupp. This is a guy who has had 2 injuries of significance in the last 5 years. And in between the ACL and the ankle injury, he missed 1 game in 3 seasons. This is a guy who knows how to take care of himself. You say the offense is poor, but name me another member of the offense that matters on the Rams right now, and especially when it comes in fantasy football. So Cooper Kupp, He's fine. He's already out there. He's going to be practicing next week. You guys will all be upset. I'm so glad he fell to me. I'm glad that you all were scared.
Last year, I took Justin Jefferson because he fell to 7. Maybe this is the new Cooper Kupp right here, right?
How would you describe how the Rams will be this year? Daniel just offered up his
analysis. So I just want right. I'm not going to use that word, but I'm going to point that last year, like their offense isn't that different. Last year, Matthew Stafford with an elbow injury coming into the season, and everybody covering Cooper Kupp, and he was on pace for a record-setting year till he got hurt. So.
I think the big problem there is the defense as well, which means a lot of second-half throwing of the football, which seems to be good for wide receivers.
It does,
I think he'll be okay.
Yeah, I think he'll be good.
All right, Mike, you were on the clock, and I would literally bet the house on who you were taking at
Is that right?
number 8
I have a tough
now.
decision.
No, you don't.
There's a tough decision because there's somebody I won here, and I know he's not getting back to me.
Okay.
Yep.
So I'm going to do it.
Are you going to do it?
Some of you know
Is he going to do it?
I know he's
Go
going.
Garrett Wilson.
Wow!
8th overall.
Wow.
We're doing
I just want to last night I stayed up until God knows how late at my beautiful DoubleTree hotel. I did about 25 mock drafts, and Garrett Wilson landed to me in the second round. And so the fact that this is a reach, dude. This is a reach.
Whoa! He's calling you out in the first round. He was not getting back to me. I didn't tell. I was contacting my sources. I know he wasn't getting back to me. He's coming up here at the turn over here. Yeah, he wasn't getting back. So I'm going to take Garrett Wilson. Look, he's 6th in targets last season. I heard he got a quarterback upgrade. Was that reported this offseason? Anybody talk about that at all?
Is
Is
he
that
gonna be-
alive?
is he gonna
Anything
be
there?
there?
You guys hear about that?
Does he have an offensive line for pass protection to get those balls off to Garrett Wilson?
Look, last year his quarterbacks were Zach Wilson and I've run out of
Mike White.
And Joe
How can you forget?
Chris Streveler. Who else do we got? Fields Yates threw a few passes. And he was still at least a wide receiver too. He was 6th in targets in the NFL.
Yeah.
So the efficiency is going to be way better. He's going to score touchdowns this year. Garrett Wilson is going to the top this year.
Okay,
Breakout
so
year.
we have Garrett Wilson at pick number 8. That leaves me at pick number 9. I would have bet the house and I would have lost because I thought Mike was going to take Bijan Robinson, who I would gladly take at pick number 9. The Falcons' exciting rookie, 8th overall pick. I think he should have a chance to be close to the NFL leader in touches this year. Falcons, I'm just begging you, just please do what you're supposed to do when you use a first-round pick, 8th overall on a rookie running back. Mike loves this stat. The past, 5 or 6 running backs taken in the top 10?
In the last decade, all were top 10 as rookies.
Top 10 rookies. So I expect Bijan Robinson to continue that trend in a major way. Dan Graziano, wow. Were you expecting the board to fall like this?
I was not expecting the board to fall like this because I thought Garrett Wilson was a guy that I did not think would go in the first round. That is the first big surprise, I think, of the draft. So as a result, there's a running back here that I really like that I did not think would fall to me. Okay. And it's a guy that is his team's primary option in the run game and oftentimes in the passing game. I'm going to take with the number 10 pick. Tell me who his team is. I'm going to take Saquon Barkley.
Okay,
with the number 10
Barkley
pick.
off the board. It sounds a little bit odd to be saying this about Saquon after a couple of years where things were up and down because of injury. Feels like just a very safe and steady first-round pick this year. His contract was figured out for both he and the New York Giants.
Mainly for them.
Mostly for them. Yeah, certainly more favorable for the team. But at least we know Saquon will be available for Week 1. There are no concerns about him being on the board. We have a ton of heavy hitters still on the board. Jonathan Taylor and Josh Jacobs barely mentioned in the first round. Guys like Tony Pollard, Devontae Adams, Derrick Henry, Stephon Diggs, CeeDee Lamb. Look at all those names still available. We got tons of talent to be taken in round 2. And check out all the signups. 1.87 million signups, almost 1.88. We're looking to get to 2 million. That gives us about, 2.2 million to 220,000. Stephania, help me out.
They said there would be no math.
Yeah.
No math.
All right, the number one place to play your fantasy games is, of course, the ESPN Fantasy Football app. You can scan that code you see right there to sign up right now to join that push for 2 million.
Fantasy football on ESPN brings fans together. It starts conversations and brings competition and excitement to your game day experience. Whether you're playing for the first time ever in your family league or starting your 20th season with your friends, The ESPN Fantasy app is easy to use for everyone. You can manage a league with your coworkers, or you can auto-draft your team and set your lineups ahead of time. Whether you're new to fantasy or have been around the game your whole life, there's a way for everyone to play. Go to ESPN.com/FFL or download the ESPN Fantasy app to get started today.
Round 1 is in the books, and we got some surprises in round 1 that I didn't quite expect, Erin. But with everything wrapping up, I think 1 through 5, there was some value there. At 5, Negandhi with Travis Kelce. You and I had some things to say about that one. How'd you feel?
I mean, I feel like with Travis Kelce, the one thing about him is that he's consistently healthy, but I feel like he's getting there in terms of his age. That makes me a little bit worrisome. I mean, he's got a great connection with Patrick Mahomes, obviously that chemistry, but at the same time, I just always worry when any player is kind of he's not the tail end of his career. I don't want to say that because obviously he's had 1,300 receiving yards, but he's getting up there in age.
Yeah, and then you looked at 6 through 10. We end up having Garrett Wilson going 8th in the first round. That was a surprise. We're going to bring in Anita right now. She had the first overall pick. And Anita, you threw us off when you came in with the CMC shirt. And all of a sudden, here comes a new shirt, H-I-M him. Why with Justin Jefferson? And why are you throwing us off, throwing away little hints to us?
I wanted to throw a little curveball to start off the draft. And listen, a lot of people are going to pick Justin Jefferson this season. That notion of going running back the first 2 rounds, that's out the door. This is a pass-happy league. He plays in an offense where they pass the ball a lot. I think that they're going to be playing from behind a lot this season. He's avoided injury his entire career in the NFL, granted, short stint, but he's putting up almost 1,500 yards the last 3 seasons. He's Kirk Cousins' main target. And I think with the addition of Jordan Addison coming over from being drafted from USC, I think it's going to open up things for him even more. So I'm really high on Justin Jefferson.
So Anita and I get to work together from a betting perspective as well. So Anita, do you think Justin Jefferson, since he's the favorite to have the most receiving yards next season, will be able to do it once again back-to-back seasons?
Absolutely. If he can stay healthy, Erin, why not, right? And I think it goes hand in hand. For whatever reason, Kirk Cousins does not get a lot of love in fantasy, but at the end of the year, he typically falls in the top 10, if not higher, top 8 in regard to quarterbacks. So he's able to get the ball off, and he's targeting Justin Jefferson, and now I have him on my fantasy roster.
All right, thank you, Anita. Really appreciate it. Good luck the rest of the way in your draft. It's a great spot to be at first overall, but she's going to have to come back and make some other picks. Erin, when you think about the wide receiver position, is Justin Jefferson the top guy for you?
Yes, he is. And I think he's going to be able to hit over his receiving yards prop as well. It's 1375.5. This guy is a monster. He's going to be a monster once again.
All right. I'm looking forward to seeing who else we're going to have picked up in this second round. Some surprises? We'll see. We're going to keep our eye on it and stay tuned. We'll be right back.
None of you are getting Garrett Wilson.
I'm right before you.
That's my guy.
Me.
Yeah.
Oh, you want Garrett Wilson?
Garrett Wilson, that's my guy.
Okay.
Garrett Wilson.
No.
He's not getting back to you guys. He's mine. You're at 3? Yeah. You can take him there. I mean, you can take him there. If not, he's not getting back.
I'm trying to think of audacious picks from years past here on the fantasy football draft. Yeah.
Maybe I'll do it. Maybe I'll break Mike Clay's heart.
Wow. Pick number 3.
He's going to pass on Justin Jefferson.
Yeah.
And take Garrett Wilson.
Exactly.
Maybe I will.
I'm going to get Garrett Wilson and then come all the way around to get Jefferson because we're all so afraid to take him out.
All right, so from a broken heart to a full heart, as Mike Clay is able to land Garrett Wilson at pick number 8 in the first round. 5 wide receivers go in those first 8 picks. 1 tight end, no surprise. Travis Kelce goes off the board. He's looking for his 8th straight 1,000-yard receiving season. And then Saquon Barkley, the last player taken at number 10 overall. Dan, were you expecting Garrett Wilson to be available for you with that 10th overall pick?
I guess I was, right? There's guys here that I have ranked ahead of him, so I'm happy that Mike Clay went that way. I think that was good.
You're welcome.
He says that he thought I was going to take him, which I don't know how that information would have got out there unless
bad info.
Unless sometimes before the draft, don't people tell you stuff, put out there stuff that's not true?
He said somebody told him.
I have sources too.
Before the draft, is it ever happened somebody puts out something that isn't true just to throw off another team? Maybe
That's weird how he's backpedaling.
He's just throwing out. I'm just saying, I don't know, But I mean, I'm happy that Saquon Barkley was there for me, and I'm very happy that these receivers I can now pick from that I have ranked ahead of Garrett Wilson. I got a guy. I'm going to stay in the NFC East. I'm going to take a guy that I think has a chance to be the #1 receiver if everything were to break right, and I'm going to go with Ceedee Lamb.
Well, that Ceedee Lamb for the Dallas Cowboys. I sensed some heartbreak from around the table. People wanted to get their hands on Ceedee Lamb.
I mean, look. I mean, one of the reasons to play fantasy sports is to crush the hopes and dreams of your friends in college.
That's absolutely true.
That's accurate. Heartbreak. Those groans were nice.
Yeah.
I like hearing that.
All right, so my team, I was not expecting this to be the case. I was not expecting to start with 2 running backs on my roster. But before Bijan Robinson becomes this freight train for Atlanta, Arthur Smith, their head coach, had Derrick Henry just riding high in Tennessee. So I will take Derrick Henry, who in fantasy football, there are a few things you can count on, quite like Derrick Henry, who, despite his age and despite the fact that offense may not have a bunch of playmakers and an offensive line that's been reshaped, I still think it's going to be really hard for defenses to find a way to slow down Derrick Henry, who, even when he gets hurt and misses half the season, still finishes with 10 rushing touchdowns and finishes in the top 10 in rushing yards. That was the case back in 2021. So running back start for me, which brings us back to Mr. Garrett Wilson.
All right, so got Garrett Wilson, and now I'm going to go get a running back, right? So I got a wide receiver first, going to grab a top running back here.
Making a Jets thing.
Brees Hall or what?
I'm not going to go Dalvin Cook. I mean, if we had a healthy Brees Hall and no Dalvin Cook, he might be under consideration here. But I'm going to go stick. You want a Cowboy? How about a Cowboy running back?
How about them Cowboys?
Tony Pollard.
I like that pick.
The interesting thing about yesterday is with Dalvin Cook signing elsewhere and Zeke Elliott signing in New England.
Yeah, he's a winner, right?
Does Tony Pollard have real competition this year? Or for a team that was so dominant on the ground last season? He had a great season, was already top 10, and should be playing an even larger role this season. So Tony Pollard, RB1, I'll take it.
So Stephania's on the board here. We're keeping our eyes on the possibility of Josh Jacobs or Jonathan Taylor going at some point in this round, maybe the 3rd round. How long will this fall last? Stephania, you're on the clock for pick 14.
Yeah, this is now, it's a little tough because I see some receivers I really like, but I'm also thinking this is a 10-team league, so we're going to be deep in receivers for a while.
Okay.
I love Jonathan Taylor. Okay. I want to take Jonathan Taylor, but I'm just not totally convinced yet that Jonathan Taylor plays. And I agree with Adam, if he plays somewhere else, like I don't. What's going to happen? I know.
How great would you look in those Kelly green uniforms in Philadelphia?
Look, if
New Jersey area,
I expected Adam, Adam's supposed to be good with his sources. I thought we would know something by now.
Wow.
I'm going to pass.
Stephania, I can't move up the.
Why not? Why not?
Why not?
I mean, you're not the best in the business for nothing, Adam. But since you're slacking, I'm going to move on. And I'm going to go with Nick Chubb, one of the best pure runners in the league. I absolutely love it. And by the way, Nick Chubb, for the most part, manages to stay on the field. Love Nick Chubb. And guess what? Jonathan Taylor is the one who told me that one of his icons as a running back who he wants to model his game after is Nick Chubb. So de facto through Jonathan Taylor, I go Nick Chubb.
Wow. Daniel, you are up with pick number 15. Some really good options staring you in the face. By the way, a little bit of a slip for Devontae Adams, 11th ranked player on our board, still not taken.
You guys took all of the running backs that I was comfortable with at this range in the 2nd round. So
that
even
was
though
the idea.
That was sort of it, right? It's the whole pain for other people in your league.
So now it's best available lion?
No, that's not what it's going to be.
You got on maybe.
I think, guys, I just gotta stay true to my board, and I got to take Stephon Diggs here. Stephon Diggs to pair.
Amon-Ra St. Brown.
I know.
He is watching, and
Can you stand for your single shot, Daniel? Look at the shirt that Daniel is wearing right now. And for you
false advertising.
Dan Campbell wearing a shirt of Brad Holmes wearing a shirt of Dan Campbell.
And you're not going to take a lion. Amon-Ra St. Brown.
There are a lot of lions left to draft in this mock draft. Don't you even worry about it.
Hunters are available in this league. Jack Fox in round 4. Kevin Negandhi back on the clock for his 2nd pick.
Right now, my 11-year-old is cursing at you.
Is he?
No, Miss Stephania, dang.
Dang, I got a dang.
Yeah. Thankfully, it was just the dang. I can say it on TV. He's 11. We're on the same page here. So you sure you don't have any other information on Jonathan Taylor? How about Josh Jacobs? How about Josh Jacobs?
Not that he can tell you.
Oh, man, because that Nick Chubb, that was sitting there.
Yeah.
Especially when you look at running backs. There's a lot of wide receivers in a 10-team league. But I've got to get somebody who can carry the ball. I just got to hope that they're going to be in camp and doing something. So I am going to go with somebody who has a chip on his shoulder, and that is Jonathan Taylor.
Whoa! There you go. Taylor.
I'm just going to
there he does.
I love it.
Shefty is like, okay, watch this tweet in 3, 2.
Jonathan Taylor has decided to sit out the
You know what? By the end of this, I tell you what. You know what?
He's mad at Jim Irsay, and he's mad at Kevin Negandhi. He doesn't want to play for Team Negandhi. He told me.
Oh, come on. I'll pay him. I just 1 year. I'll pay him. I have no problem with that.
All right, pick
He wants to
17.
be traded to First Sources.
Pick 17 goes to Eric Moody. Back on the clock, my friend.
Yeah, I'm sitting here thinking I've got a decision to make because I've got Devontae Adams that's there, and I'm looking at Amon-Ra St. Brown, and I'm imagining the reaction of Daniel Dopp.
No, you do it.
If I do draft Amon-Ra St. Brown.
You should.
I shouldn't.
He had his chance.
Yeah, you had your shot. It's over.
2 of them.
Do it.
I did. Yeah.
Absolutely.
But I really want Devontae Adams, though.
Well, then
what
take
you gotta
Devontae Adams.
You can only pick one here.
I can't.
Yeah, you can't
take
get
them
both of them. No.
I can? Okay. All right, so Team Moody selects Devontae Adams.
All right.
I'm going to go with Devontae Adams.
The wait is
It's one
forever.
stat that's swinging around in my mind because you look at Devontae Adams, in 4 out of the last 5 seasons, he's had at least 100 receptions, at least 1,300 receiving yards, and at least 11 receiving touchdowns. I don't care if Jimmy G is throwing the football to him. Yeah. He's still going to get a ton of targets.
I think the Jimmy G hate's gone too far.
Yeah, it absolutely has.
Yes, maybe.
It's gone
He'll
too
catch
far.
whatever is thrown his way, right, Dan? So,
He
Shefty,
will.
back on the clock here. No Jonathan Taylor available for you to take, but Josh Jacobs still available to take.
You want to text him?
I took a running back with my first pick.
Yeah.
So I'm going to come back with a wide receiver on this pick.
Yeah.
Let me guess.
Do it. Do it. Do it. Come
Don't do it. Don't
Do it, Adam.
No, Adam,
Do it.
don't do it.
Do it. Take it.
And
Come on.
I'm surprised that we're sitting here at pick, what is it, 18?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this guy's still there. A.J. Brown.
What can Brown do for
Let's
you?
make Liz's day.
I love this friendship.
And Liz is going to ruin mine.
Wow. All right, A.J.
Because I
Brown.
know where you're going. I know where you're
13
going, Boo.
receiving touchdowns last season on 88 catches. Tremendous player for Kevin's Eagles.
Yes.
Perhaps primed for yet another run to the Super Bowl. Could finish the job perhaps this year. 18th player off the board. Seems about right. Liz Loza back on the clock here.
Easy
I
pick.
knew I needed to have a backup plan for
Okay.
Garrett Wilson. And I thought for a second I was going to have to dig up some Devontae Adams notes. And then I thought, man, I haven't met Kevin Negandhi yet, but we could be friends perhaps if I pick A.J. Brown. But I didn't have to do any of that because I'm going to steal my guy, Dopp's guy, Amon-Ra
right.
St. Brown. And his 95 catches can come over to Team Loza this year.
Wow, guy kind of off the radar, I guess, in fantasy. All of a sudden, having in prime for a big season this year is Amon-Ra, who was just obviously a target vacuum last year for the Detroit Lions, and prime for yet another big year with Jared Goff. No Jamison Williams for the first 6 weeks.
That's right. He had
of the season.
18 more catches than A.J. Brown last year. Just needs more touchdowns.
Yep. More
Get to that
touchdowns.
next level.
Last pick of the second round, of course, goes to Anita Marks, who has back-to-back picks coming up. It's been a while since you took Justin Jefferson, who is going to be the final player selected in round 2.
And
All
is there
I
a
have
T-shirt?
to say is I wasted hours last night with the mock drafts because
Wow.
everybody that I thought would be here, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Garrett Wilson, Nick Chubb, Tony Pollard, gone. So the hell with the mock drafts. I wasted my time. Damn.
That's weird. You said I reached, and you just listed 2 people that are on my team.
So this is what I'm going to do because we're taking a break after this, right?
We are.
You and I need to have a conversation. So I'm going to go with Joe Mixon.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Pending
Where's
legal
your
matters.
shirt? What, 40? Where's your shirt? I didn't think. I have a Amon-Ra St. Brown shirt, I have a Garrett Wilson shirt, I have a Chubb shirt, I have a Pollard shirt. You're all gone.
I'll take that Garrett shirt, please.
Yeah.
Chubb over here. So,
Mike needs a fitted
but
cut.
I, for whatever reason, I love Joe Mixon in this offense. I think sometimes that he's the afterthought because it's all Joe Burrow, right? And
other
Jamar
Joe.
Chase
Yeah.
and T. Higgins and that passing offense. But it really opens up things for Joe Mixon. And 40 catches last season?
Weird
So
number of catches.
I'm going to go Joe Mixon and then and then I'm going to have a sidebar with the wonderful Adam Schefter over here to find out what I'm going to pick.
Mixon has been a top 11 running back in 4 of the last 5 seasons.
Yeah,
so
consistency
not
from
a
Joe
bad
Mixon
pick right
certainly
there.
has added up. All right, so Anita goes a running back after taking a wide receiver, Justin Jefferson, first overall. 2 rounds down, and safe to say we're having some fun so far, right? Absolutely. It's been a joy thus far here on the ESPN Fantasy Football Marathon mock draft. We have shirt reveals, we have reaches, or perhaps not reaches. We have some stunned Kevin Negandhi, and so much more. Adam Schefter working the phones. Be a part of the push for 2 million signups. 1.893. That's 107,000 to get to 2 million, I think.
You're watching the ESPN Fantasy Football Marathon. Go to ESPN.com/FFL or download the ESPN Fantasy app today.
Welcome back to the Simulcast. Skubie Mageza here with Erin, Dolan, Erin. Jonathan Taylor going at 16.
Rising.
For a guy that's ranked a little bit further than that, I saw it as a surprise. We'll take a look at the 11 to 15. Some good picks over here. Derrick Henry, some great value there for Yates, who already has Bijan Robinson on his roster. And then we mentioned the Jonathan Taylor pick by Kevin Negandhi after he already drafted Travis Kelce. What are we thinking about that Jonathan Taylor pick?
I'm thinking this guy, first of all, we don't know what's going on with him. Does he want to play for the team? He's in contract negotiations. Is he injured? No one knows what's really going on. So that's a true gamble in itself, grabbing him.
Yeah, he might have what one calls contractitis.
Yes,
but one who doesn't have that is Mike Clay.
Contractitis.
He's joining us after his first 2 rounds. Mike, I'm just going to say this straight out the gate, dude. Garrett Wilson at 8? What are we thinking? Why are we jumping? What's happening? Break it down to us.
Yeah, so much like Adam Schefter, I have some sources, and I was talking to them before the draft. And I heard Garrett Wilson might not get back to me in round 2, and I just was not going to let him get by me after all that chatter during fantasy football now last season. I think Garrett Wilson could be, potentially a ceiling as a #1 overall scoring receiver this year. Love the guy. I want him on my teams this year. I'm not going to let him pass me. I had to take the chance.
I was surprised by that. I'm not going to lie, but obviously trash talk is a little bit more important in terms of bragging rights and whatnot. But then you also took Tony Pollard. Just curious if you're worried about the new workload.
I'm not worried at all. I'm grateful for it because that's the most important stat in fantasy volume, of course, especially for running backs, no more Zeke Elliott. And him signing yesterday in New England kind of locks it in, right? Tony Pollard's going to be the feature back. And the guys behind him, I beg you to name one, right? Malik Davis, Ronald Jones is there. He's suspended for 2 games. It should be a clear feature back role for Tony Pollard, who already in a committee last year was already a top 10 fantasy running back. So the sky's the limit. I have him RB6 this season. He certainly has elite upside.
All right, 2 quick questions for you. We were talking about Jonathan Taylor, so we got 30 seconds here. Let us know what you think about him getting drafted at 16, and then I want to know who are you targeting next?
Yeah, I'm thankful that he was selected already. I didn't want to have to make that decision. I don't want Jonathan Taylor. I don't really want Josh Jacobs either. So those are 2 people off my board. Coming back to me, I'll be looking at best available running back or wide receiver. I'm going to hammer that home, probably wait a little bit at the tight end position, but we'll see what's available when I'm on the clock here shortly.
All right, Clay, good luck the rest of the way. We appreciate your time here, and keep that draft going. Hey, Erin, what Mike said about Jonathan Taylor not making that decision, I think he had a great point.
Nobody wants to make that decision, clearly. I mean, I'm really surprised that they took him.
Yeah.
It's a gamble if you're a fantasy team, let alone in general.
Yeah, you don't know what's going to happen, but contractitis, I don't know. Maybe once that contract gets figured out, his leg all of a sudden or ankle feels better. Who knows?
After that?
Those guys feel better out there. Back to the fantasy draft.
Only NFL preseason game happens in week 2. The Ravens taking on the Commanders Monday, August 21st at 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific on ESPN and ESPN Deportes. Coverage begins at 7 Eastern with a special edition of Monday Night Countdown. Back here on the ESPN Fantasy Football Marathon Mock Draft Round 3. Look at some of the notable players still available. Josh Jacobs, Jalen Waddle, DK Metcalf. He had 24 end zone targets last year. I stole that stat from my play. That was a lot. I think the most in the NFL.
Yeah, it was the most in the NFL by like 9?
By a lot.
9.
Okay.
It was enormous. And he left a lot of touchdowns on the table, which is absurd. He was a major value in fantasy last year, and he left all them touchdowns on the table. Just think about what he could do this year if he starts finding the end zone more often.
We are through. That's a very compelling case right there. We are through 2 rounds, and
So
then you are back on the clock. Justin Jefferson, and then Joe Mixon with your last pick.
Yeah, so I'm sitting here saying, wow, I'm at 1. Should I take Patrick Mahomes? No, I'm not going to take a quarterback this soon. DK Metcalf is there. I think Geno Smith and that Seattle Seahawks offense is going to be really, really good this year.
Yeah.
But I'm looking, and I had my little sidebar with Adam, and is now the time that I roll the die?
Value.
You're not now the time that I roll the die.
I don't
with a
believe
guy
you.
who could be like, oh, I have a hangnail. I can't play today. I'm sorry because you didn't pay me this season. So I'm not going to do it.
Oh, wow. Take it off the board. It's on the board. Let's take it off.
Whoever takes
I'm
him
not
gets
going to
a
do it. I'm not going to do it.
Toss the T.
I'm going to go.
T-shirt.
I'm going to go Travis Etienne.
Whoa.
I'm going to go Travis Etienne. Why not? I know we talk about, Trevor Lawrence and Calvin Ridley and this offense. And you know what? The passing game very well could open up the rushing game for Etienne. And who knows? They're going to be in the red zone so often this season. Maybe more touchdowns.
Just 5 rushing touchdowns last season.
Maybe more rushing touchdowns this season, Mike?
Yeah,
Please?
they bring in Tank Bigsby. He could be an option at the goal line, but I don't know if ETN needs a big touchdown number to deliver on this where you just drafted him. I love him in the 3rd round this season. Super talented player. The efficiency's off the charts going all the way back to his college days at Clemson. Love ETN, one of my favorite targets in the 3rd round.
Liz Loza now wearing an Amon-Ra St. Brown shirt. It'd be great if I could speak legibly right now. Let's talk. Who we taking in the 3rd round?
I would like another receiver here.
Okay. Who are you thinking?
And I am thinking about a receiver who, when he is one of the best duos in the NFL, when this guy shared the field with Jamar Chase, that's a big hint, he averaged over 67 yards per game.
Trenton
and
Irwin
when
comes off
Jamar
the board.
Chase was not on the field,
I thought it was Tyler Boyd.
he averaged over 92 yards per game. Preseason player prop is 1,000, over under 1,000.5 yards. Well, he's cleared 1,000 in back-to-back seasons, so welcome T. Higgins to Team Lift.
There you have it. All right. T. Higgins to Liz Loza. No major surprise there. Adam Schefter has been working the phones. And the thing about Schefter is that, he can mask his conversations well enough that you have absolutely no idea what he's talking about. You choose your own adventure. So in my mind, you have just been working the phones exclusively to find out when Josh Jacobs is going to return and to decide whether you should take him here at pick 23.
Well, Field, this morning we were on First Take, and we were debating which quarterback should go first.
Oh, boy. There we go.
And I think I would ordinarily not take a quarterback this high.
Okay.
However, in a 10-team league, when you can have your pick of the litter, and you can stack Philadelphia Eagles.
Okay.
I am going to stack Philadelphia Eagles and hopefully not upset my neighbor to my left. Maybe too late. Too much. Yeah.
Or his child.
Wow.
Taking Jalen there?
Wow.
Yes, sir.
I love when Shefty gets
I
loose.
see what Shefty just did. Shefty takes Jalen Hurts at pick 23. Jalen Hurts, the newest Jordan Brand ambassador. You were planning this the entire time, weren't you?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Wow.
And I have an announcement to make.
I definitely.
I am not the newest Jordan Brand ambassador.
I had you on the short list of likely candidates. So Eric Moody, back on the clock.
All right,
number 24.
I'm back on the clock, and you know, like a minute ago, I ended up getting a text message. So it was a text message from my son, Noah, and he's like, "You should select Patrick Mahomes."
Yeah.
In when you're on the clock, and you know what? I am going to do it.
Yes. Wow.
There you go, Noah. He's going with Patrick Mahomes, and I'm like, you look at Mahomes. I'm like, he's the top of the quarterback litter. I'm like, he's in a tier of his own, essentially. He's averaged 303 passing yards and 24 fantasy points over the last 5 seasons. And so I want different makers at all of my positions, quarterback, and I've got 2 at wide receiver, so let's go.
Yep.
Mahomes.
Patrick Mahomes, number
quarterback run.
24. The quarterback run has begun.
Kid on the phone.
Kevin Negandhi.
Pressure's on.
I know.
Keep it
I
going.
hope
We got dueling 11-year-old boys here. Come on.
We were going to take Mahomes.
Oh,
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
But I also told them we got to keep an eye on wide receivers.
Okay.
And I brought up Chris Olave because I think that Chris Olave is going to take the next step.
Okay.
We got Michael Thomas, and who knows if he's going to be healthy. We've been waiting for him to come back in the last 3 years. Yeah. Josh Jacobs is staring at us, screaming for me to take him. But if I heard he got Jonathan Taylor in the unknown, I can't have a backfield in week 1 with no one there. So I'm going to please Brandon, as he is watching right now, my 11-year-old. We're going to go with Devontae Smith.
Right, there we go. There's the green and line.
Devontae, we will be happy with number 6. Let's hope he scores a bunch of 6s over A.J. Brown.
I like
the
Slim Reaper at pick 25.
Out-targeted A.J. Brown after week 1 last year.
Really? And by the way, he was fantastic so far in these joint practices with the Browns. We watched some video, so I feel really good about him.
I just imagine at your house, like every night you get home from work and you guys just watch YouTube clips of Eagles players during
practice. Last night was the Phillies yearbook from 2022. So good. I'm not kidding. He put it up on YouTube and we started watching.
Tonight is the Temple.
Not a lot of that. After last season.
Yeah, Chosen Anderson will be taken at some point tonight by Kevin Negandhi. Daniel, you're back up, pick 26.
That's Robbie
Chosen.
Oh.
Yeah. I also was looking at the guy that should have won Offensive Rookie of the Year last year in Chris Olave.
Yeah.
But.
Oh, I know what you're going to do.
But.
I know what you're
I'm going to take a page out of the Adam Schefter book.
Okay. You have sources? Who are you texting? Who are you texting over there?
And I am also going to stack my top wide receiver with Josh Allen.
Wow.
Give me Stephon Diggs with Josh Allen in this Bills offense. Field, you have him ranked as the #1 quarterback in fantasy football this year.
Sure do.
He's an easy top 3 guy for me. The fact I can get him here in the 3rd round, this is great value based on ADP.
I'm on an island, by the way, in that I'm the only ranker who has him as the top-ranked quarterback. The reason being, I just feel like there's slightly more elite upside week over week with Josh Allen. Use this stat a bunch over the past 2 seasons. He's been a top 3 finisher amongst quarterbacks in nearly 49% of his weeks. Patrick Mahomes, who's a god, just below 25%. So I know Patrick Mahomes is incredible, but Josh Allen just reaches that mountain.
Imagine drafting a scrub like Patrick Mahomes before Josh Allen.
Wow.
I was going to say, that's Field stance. He's low on Patrick Mahomes. That's what I'm taking from this.
That's right. That's right.
ESPN app team, make sure we get that
Patrick
sent out.
Mahomes, that's it.
Yes. You said that part, not me. Pick 27, Stephania is on the board.
So I love this little quarterback run that just happened here because I thought I was going to be the outlier. And after my red flag last night of not being afraid to reach, I was going to take a quarterback in the 3rd round and be prepared for all of you all to criticize me.
Healthy Brock Purdy.
But
Looking good right
Adam's rationale. I have the Brock Purdy T-shirt, so I got you there.
Stay away.
Yeah. So Adam used my rationale, which is in a 10-team league. You know, you have depth at wide receiver. Yeah. Why not go for one of the top quarterbacks? Yeah. But since you all copied, and now one of the top 3 that I was eyeing is not there, I'm going to do what Daniel wouldn't. And I'm going to take Jahmyr Gibbs.
Yeah.
No! Stephania, you were supposed to make it back to me in the 4th.
I love that.
No!
If you were a true fan.
If you were a true friend.
Wow.
I mean,
wow.
This is what it's all about.
Every year it happens at this table with you guys.
There are kids out there watching right now that are like, if I pay attention to fantasy football, I can be doing this one day.
See?
Great picks to find you.
Thank you.
Great.
I mean, what a playmaker he is. Pick 28, Mike, you're on the board.
All right, I'm going to go with another young wide receiver. I think you took Devontae Smith. These two will always be compared because they were drafted right near each other. Jalen Waddle in Miami, who last year had 8 touchdown catches. All of them came from Tua Tagovailoa. When Tua was out, his numbers really plummeted. So you think about what he really could have put up on the board had Tua been healthy all last season. If Tua is good to go this year, Waddle could take another leap forward. He made a big leap in year 2. Could be another one in year 3.
Let me just tell you this. When I was down at Dolphins camp and Tua was talking, he said the player having the best camp was Jalen Waddle, and he just kept talking about him and talking about him and how fantastic he looked. So, you know, he's looking to go to Jalen Waddle.
Do you care to do the Waddle right now on TV?
I do not. No one wants to see me dance.
Come on, do it.
Come on, do it, Mike.
Do it.
I'm not doing it.
This is
Come
your
on.
dare to be great moment.
I don't know how to do
Mike.
it.
Like a penguin.
That's all it is.
Absolutely good by Stephania right there. Yes.
Mike, you're going to stick to your guns and don't do it.
I don't know what that was, but it was not that.
Was
that like the Mike Gesicki gritty?
Yeah,
that was great.
There we go.
That's the category I belong in. So that's right.
Pick 29. I'll be quick because we have to be mindful of the clock here. Chris Olave, the player that I have the most exposure to in all drafts so far this season. Everything that Mike was just talking about for Jalen Waddle, year 1 to year 2 leap. I expect that for Chris Olave with a better quarterback and a better offensive system. And good Lord, is this guy a talented freak. So I'm very happy to get him at pick number 29, which brings us back to Dan Graziano for the first of 2 picks.
I like having guys on my team that I like. And when I was at Seahawks camp, I had a great conversation with DK Metcalf. Like I just enjoyed it so much. It also helps when that guy I like is awesome. And shouldn't still be here.
You guys have a similar diet.
What is this? Pick 30
too, right?
All candy?
Yes.
Yeah, he
With
talked
1 cup
about
of coffee.
that. He got a lot of grief about that.
Oh.
Like, he had some parents upset. Yeah.
It seems to not be working. I mean, have you seen him?
Yeah, I think he's okay. Whatever he's doing. Anyway, he's on my team. He's on Team Graziano, DK Metcalf, with my 3rd round pick.
There you have it. The end of the 3rd round concludes with DK Metcalf. And let's take a look at the first 30 picks. Some interesting names still available on the board. That includes Najee Harris, who all the way back in 2021 was outstanding as a rookie. Deebo Samuel, the highest scoring wide receiver in 2021, still not taken. Stephania Bell, though, coming up in just a handful of picks. Perhaps Deebo goes there. Najee, Deebo, amongst the star names on the board. That also includes Mark Andrews. Will he be the 2nd tight end to be taken? Time will tell. We'll be back with more next.
We're back with you here for the Fantasy Football Simulcast. Skubie Mageza here with Erin, Dolan. Erin, I think one thing is obvious in most fantasy drafts. The 3rd round is when the quarterback flood comes in. Everybody went in for their QBs. Here's 21 through 25. T. Higgins at 22. A little bit of a surprise there for me because then right after we have Jalen Hurts, Patrick Mahomes, and then we end up having our 3rd quarterback going in there. So Josh Allen gets to stack up with Stephon Diggs. Jalen Hurts is your guy. We had Mahomes, Allen, and Hurts finish as 1, 2, and 3 last year. How do you feel about Hurts going before those 2 guys?
I mean, I'm not shocked by any means. We saw how great he was last season. He was in the MVP conversation before he ended up being injured in that game against the Bears. I think there's a couple ways you can look at Jalen Hurts. One thing that I'm going to do just from a prop perspective is take a look at his rushing touchdowns at 10.5. I think he goes under this mark. He's my boy, I know that. But at the same time, he had 13 rushing touchdowns last season, 3 of those against the Bears. And that's the game in which he got injured. He cannot be rushing the ball the whole regular season, especially against some of the tough defenses that he's going to face.
Usually it's Mahomes versus Allen. That's what everybody has been. A lot of people have been going for, but I have no problem against going for Hurts because it really is a big 3. So let's look at some props and dive in. Mahomes passing yards. He has his props for the season at 47.05.5. What are you going with?
I would have to go over on this one. This guy, he's hit over this mark consistently in 2 of the last 3 seasons. Also shopped these lines around and whatnot. But last season, who did he not have? He didn't have Tyreek Hill, and he still had over 5,200 passing yards.
Yeah.
He had 11 players with at least 100 receiving yards. He gets the entire offense involved. So I do expect him to be able to really get it going through the air again. I'd rather bet on him than a guy like Josh Allen. I'm not too high on the Buffalo Bills. I feel like something's going on with Stephon Diggs.
Josh Allen's passing yards is at 4,300, and we'll fly through this. 4,300. What are you thinking about Josh Allen?
Yeah, that's a stay away for me. Just all things considered with them, I don't like what's going on with Stephon Diggs. I feel like things were getting personal.
Yeah.
The media a little bit.
Diggs slipped a little bit in this draft as well.
Yeah, he did. So I just feel like I'd rather go with somebody that I'm very confident in Patrick Mahomes. And looking at some of these props and just how I expect this season to be different and the way these teams are going to play would ultimately change how I think these players are going to have to show up this season.
All right, Hurts' passing yards is at 36.25.5. What do we think? Are we going over or under there?
For his passing,
for his passing yards.
Passing yards, he should be able to. You got A.J. Brown, you got Devonta Smith. Smith's already off the board as well.
And I feel like with those 2 guys now, he's going to have a better chemistry with them going forward. So let's jump over to Super Bowl expectations for the Chiefs. The champs are coming back, and they feel good about it. Are they doing it again?
No. I don't think they're going to do it again. Take a team in the NFC, easier conference.
Yeah. Bills, we'll see if they do it as well. I say no, and we'll head it back to the fantasy draft.
1.914 million drafted teams. We're going to get to 2 million. We're going to soar past 2 million during this ESPN Fantasy Football Marathon. We are back here. Round 4 of our mock draft is underway. Dan Graziano back on the board. And we're going to try to show you guys a little bit of how the teams have unfolded up to this point during this round. I got to tell you, Dan, when you have those glasses on, I feel like it makes you a 15% better drafter. Is that by design?
Well, I can see.
Because he could see.
They're not decorative. But yeah, that maybe if I couldn't see, I'd be. But I'm not making the picks anyway. They're doing it in the control room, so it doesn't matter. Yeah, I wouldn't hit the wrong thing. Anyway, I'm worried I should take a quarterback because they all went off the board so fast. I was thinking about the next turn for that or the one after, but I don't know. Look, I know who I'm taking. But I got to say, I hate this pick. I hate the pick. I hate the situation. I hate the team he's on.
Good stuff.
All of it. But how? I mean, it's the 4th round. Like Josh Jacobs, of all the running backs still here, like he's the only one who could return 1st-round value with a 4th-round pick. I feel like I can backfill and later on at running back and get some contingencies. But Josh Jacobs has to be the pick here.
I have some news for you.
Yeah, I had him circled. That was my next pick.
He was going to last all the way until pick 32 if you didn't take him. So the time was now for Josh Jacobs.
It wasn't the biggest stretch, is what
it was not that big of a stretch. As Schefter has noted many times on TV today, if Josh Jacobs is not available for week 1, that's how many dollars?
$588,000+.
He feels like a lot of money to be given away. All right, so I'm on the board here, and I was the only team that started with 2 running backs. Maybe a bit of pressure to not go with a running back here, even though better options are available than I would have expected. And I'm going to go with a player that maybe is a tiny bit of a stretch, but even in the 10-team league, I'm concerned about the tight end depth. So I will take Mark Andrews, 32nd overall.
Really good pick, Field.
Second tight end off the board. You guys want to say that again? Just
I hate saying that out loud about you, but it was a
feel great. So the Ravens have a bunch of new pass catchers this offseason, including Odell Beckham Jr., Zay Flowers, hopefully a healthy Rashad Bateman. But there is still the number 1 option in this offense, and that is Mark Andrews, which should be a higher volume passing offense. You're saying interesting in a way that kind of like bothered. You didn't like it?
No, interesting that would have been a guy that I would have looked long and hard at.
That's what you
Wow, universal applause. Now I'm nervous about this
I've got to regroup, regather my thoughts, and figure out what I'm going to do now that Kinley and Palmer's dad has sniped this.
Wow. That was a Palmer pick right there. You're on the clock, Mike.
All right, so I think yesterday, actually, if we did this a little more than 24 hours ago, I would have maybe considered, actually it would have been like 30 hours ago, Ramondre Stevenson would have been the pick here, right? Obviously, Zeke Elliott goes to New England, so I knocked him down a few spots. So I'm going to go with the next running back on my board, which is Najee Harris in Pittsburgh. Had a rough year last year, but this is one of the few guys that stayed on the field for all 34 games over the last 2 years. Receiving was down, but he actually did finish really strong at 5 straight top 20s to finish the season. They recommitted to him as their feature back. Offensive line improvement's huge. We've been calling for that for 2 years. Najee Harris, I think he rebounds a little bit this year.
Okay, no problems with that pick whatsoever. Stephania back on the clock. Lots of 49ers still available. Only 1 taken so far.
Yeah, I know. You can never have enough. They really have a potent offense. It's not a homer reaction at all.
And a defense.
Had they not been, had their quarterback not been taken out,
that's what happened.
Somebody sitting at this table, then we would have gone to the Super Bowl, and who knows what could have happened. Jimmy Garoppolo would have come back. Like, who knows? Yeah, well.
She didn't buy it.
I don't buy it. But you know what we did? We took Hargrave from you, so we're good.
Yeah, it's a good point.
So now I'm stuck with, since Field took Mark Andrews, that is where I was going to go next. But now I'm going to wait a little bit longer. And I'm going to go with my heart. I'm going to go to Deebo Samuel.
Okay. So 2 years ago, the highest scoring wide receiver in all of fantasy football. For the first half of the season in 2021, he had 80 targets in the first 10 games, 8 per game, and then all of a sudden became the most efficient rusher in almost literally NFL history. Last year, things kind of leveled off.
You know what I like about him?
The cost?
He likes to send out shirtless photos. I like that. I can relate to that.
Photo, yeah.
I like that. I appreciate that about him. So I'm with you.
He also, if you remember last year, he came to camp late, a little bit heavier, all that, came on time, everything good this year. So things looking good out there on the West Coast.
Daniel, you're up.
Yeah, so I was waiting, hoping that Jahmyr Gibbs was going to make it back here to the fourth.
Still feeling it.
Have you blocked Stephania on Twitter yet for doing that?
I got to be honest. I'd never followed Stephania in the first place.
Wow.
So
I have the receipts.
I think I've got to go another direction here, and I know, Mike, you just said it. You went with Najee Harris because of the signing of Zeke Elliott, but I'm going to take Ramondre Stevenson as my #1 running back, understanding that I've gone wide receiver, quarterback. I think Ramondre Stevenson's still going to get a ton of volume in this offense. He's going to be all the passing game work there. And Ezekiel Elliott is not a top 10, not top 20 guy anymore. He's going to be a guy that gets goal line work. So I'm not worried about it. I wanted to get a running back here. I kind of wished it was someone a little higher, but I'm all right with Ramondre.
Yeah, I think he'll be good, but you're still going to be screaming at your TV when Zeke scores 12 touchdowns this year.
That's fair.
Ramondre might be fine, but he's going to get vultured.
Yeah, it's going to happen.
Kevin Negandhi back on the clock.
All right, so when you look at the running backs, there's a handful of guys, and obviously we've talked about this a handful of times with the quarterbacks going off the board. There's 3 quarterbacks clearly you target, right, in this tier specifically. Lamar Jackson, the unknown with Todd Monken, I think he's going to be fantastic. Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert. My 11-year-old Brandon's made a lot of noise on where we're going with these picks, but he just texted me that my daughter is now watching. 6-year-old
Whatever she wants, she gets.
Yep.
Yeah.
What does McKenna want?
She gets what she wants. And that is Joe Burrow.
Joe Burrow. You know what I say to McKenna? That's a fantastic pick right there. I love the pick from McKenna.
Yeah, because honestly, between Lamar and Joe, I was hanging back and forth, and I'm just going to go with Joe because I already know what he can do in that offense, no matter what.
Yep. And it sounds like he'll be ready to play for week 1. So no concerns on the injury
I'm just curious, like, what kind of research McKenna's done? Like, what is she basing it on?
She's probably hearing it from her 11-year-old brother, and then he's showing her pictures of the quarterbacks.
Like in the outfits.
She likes the Bengals helmet a lot, right?
That's what's probably going
Makes
on.
as much sense as anything else.
Very scientific.
Maybe she's into cigars.
Exactly. And laying back, right? Just feeling good about yourself, wearing chains, right? Coming in with sunglasses.
This is fantasy football. So all research counts.
Well, okay.
Moody.
All right, Team Moody's going with Aaron Jones here.
That was
I was hoping, I was ready. I was watching, I was sweating, waiting for this to come up. And I love Aaron Jones this year. Solid RB2. The Packers have invested significantly in their offensive line, and it's paid off because they ranked top 10 in run block win rate. And also, you look at Jones, and like he was phenomenal last year. Like he got a lot of touches, work out of the backfield. So I'm going to have him be my RB1 in this case of how I'm building my team.
There you have it. Jeffy, back up.
Yep, I was interested in Mark Andrews. I was interested in Deebo Samuel. I wanted to create a 49er stack there. That would have been nice.
A lot of stacking so far.
That would have been nice.
Yeah.
Instead, I'm going to go with somebody else that will disappoint Stephania. A little retribution.
Uh-oh.
Yep. You want to say it for me, Stephania?
Are you going with Brandon Ayuk?
No, I'm going with Calvin Ridley. At 38.
Yeah,
My
great
must
pick.
have.
Yeah, 38.
I didn't think you were going to. I thought he was going to come back to me on this round.
Yeah.
Moody, like that pick right there.
Yeah, no, I do, because like the last time we saw Ridley healthy, it was back in 2020. Like that's a guy that ranked first in air yards. He ranked second in red zone targets. Yeah. So he's got a great quarterback in Trevor Lawrence. So I really like that pick.
All right, Liz Loza back on the clock.
Yeah, double-digit fantasy points in all but 2 games that year.
Yeah.
Hey, now.
I have nothing but respect for McKenna, and I think she and I could vibe, frankly, based on what you just said.
Does she like Taylor Swift?
Loves her.
Kindred spirits right here.
Loves her.
Auntie Lizzie coming in for McKenna. And I like her even more because she left Lamar Jackson for me. I'm sorry, Anita, I love you too. We could go to Taylor as well. Barbie, Taylor, I'll do it all.
Is that another shirt?
But
Another shirt.
Lamar Jackson, I am in on. That offensive line is shored up. I had him ranked just ahead of Joe Burrow. New pass catchers the field already mentioned, and of course the new play caller that's been quite the buzz this summer. So give me Lamar Jackson.
Lamar Jackson, great pick right there. Towards the end of round 4, Anita Marks, you look a little bit disgruntled right now.
I thought we were friends. I thought we bonded in the makeup room earlier today. We're supposed to have drinks after.
We are.
How late do you guys stay out?
Well, I'm certainly not going to participate in any more mock drafts.
That's a good point.
They stared me wrong.
Yeah.
All right. So you guys know I live in New York.
Yep.
Well, Hoboken, same thing. The 6th borough. I'm going Darren Waller. Let me tell you something.
Waller.
Girl,
Great
brace
pick there.
yourself for the season that will be Darren Waller. He will lead all receivers because he really is going to play he's going to play the X, the Y, the Z, probably have 75 catches, over 1,000 yards, and 8 touchdowns.
The voice of God right there is speaking to us.
Someone likes that.
I think they liked your pick there. You got a great pick, Darren Waller, who has been the talk of the town during Giants training camp so far. And we talk about this often on Fantasy Focus. How many tight ends have a credible shot to lead their team in targets? Darren Waller on that very short list, along with the Travis Kelce, Mark Andrews of the world.
Something else I'll add to that, you look at Mike's projections. I'm like, Waller, I think, was one of like 4 tight ends that you had projected for over 100 targets. So nice pickup. Yeah.
Mike's projections, A++. All right, that'll do it there for round 4. You know, we are an hour into this mock draft, and I think the one thing we're missing is fun. Like, I feel like this has been a little too boring, guys. What, have we not had fun yet?
It's the James Conner of drafts.
Wow. You know, we've had some fun. Yeah, I'll play catch. Yeah, I got good hands.
Fun, man.
All right, let's do it.
That's good.
Or his child.
Wow.
Taking Jalen there?
Wow.
Stephania, you were supposed to make it back to me in the 4th.
I love that.
You're watching the ESPN Fantasy Football Marathon. Go to ESPN.com/FFL or download the ESPN Fantasy app today.
All right, welcome back. Skubie Mageza here with Erin Dolan. Erin, biggest surprise for you in round 4?
I'd probably have to say Ramondre Stevenson. Now with what's going on that
35.
team, knowing Ezekiel Elliott's going to be on it as well, I was really high on Stevenson. I said take him over rushing yards. I already broadcasted it, but this was before I knew Elliott was coming, so I was a little surprised by that.
Yeah, the Ezekiel Elliott equation getting thrown in there definitely switches things up. And then looking at 36 through 40 here, we had some good picks. I really like the Joe Burrow pickup there for Kevin Negandhi. You know, he needed something to pick up his team with some of the picks that he had earlier on. And we're going to have Daniel Dopp join us in just a moment to talk over that Ramondre Stevenson. Actually, I'm hearing that he's ready right now. Dopp, what's going on, my boy? Listen, we only got 3 minutes, so I want to get through as much things as possible with you. So Ramondre Stevenson that early. Bro, we know Bill Belichick likes to run the 2-back system, and you take him as your RB1. Everyone was saying you had the best team. Explain yourself.
I'll tell you what, they liked to run the 2-back system last year, and he was pretty stinking good in fantasy football last year, too. He's still going to be catching passes. I understand Ezekiel Elliott is there. I understand how good he is at the goal line. But Ramondre Stevenson for me, because I waited to be able to grab a running back, he was just the top of my running back board. I wasn't trying to go 0 RB. I wanted to get one kind of anchor guy. I wish someone else would have fallen, but he was at the top of my board at that part. And I'm fine with it. Zeke doesn't scare me off.
Ooh.
And Dopp, Skubie had mentioned it. The chat is absolutely loving everybody that you have selected. But my one question that kind of came to mind, you got Josh Allen, you got Stephon Diggs. I was a little bit worried what happened this offseason. Felt like a little bit of drama. Maybe they weren't too happy in their marriage, things like that. Are you concerned about that at all?
Not anymore. I was worried a little earlier, and actually you were able to get pretty good value on Stephon Diggs if you were doing any best ball drafts while that whole thing was going on. But at this point, it feels like everything is in the past. I'm worried about Josh Allen throwing 140 touchdowns to Stephon Diggs this year. That's the only thing that I care about.
And what about the Tyreek Hill pick? We've all heard the chatter about Tua and him staying healthy. Are you at all worried about that with Tyreek?
No, not anymore. I've talked to Stephania. We had her on Fantasy Focus, and everything that Tua has done to be able to get ready for this season gives me a lot of confidence that Tyreek Hill is not just going to be the wide receiver that he was last year, but potentially better. I'm telling you, man, when he says he wants to get 2,000 yards, there are a few wide receivers in this league that I think could make that happen. He's absolutely one of them.
All right, Jujutsu helps out. Quick, Dopp, who are you targeting next? Because we only got like 20 seconds.
I might go tight end here. I mean, my little brother T.J. Hawkinson is still on the board. I may let my hair down for that one.
All right, yeah.
Let it down, Dopp.
T.J. Hawkinson's twin right there, Daniel Dopp. Good luck the rest of the way, buddy. We'll be watching you right here. And Erin, I like his reasoning for picking Ramondre. It makes sense. Ezekiel Elliott still think that he could have himself a heck of a year.
Well, I'm sure there's a case to be made for every player that's selected no matter what. So it's good that we just asked some of these big questions.
All right, back to the Fantasy Football Draft Marathon.
Fantasy football is back, and the ESPN Fantasy app makes it easier than ever to manage your team. Do you want to see the opponent you've dominated the most? Or look back at the key move that helped you win last year? Access your league history with one click. Want to assign keepers to a specific round of your draft? Your league keepers option can help you with that. Want to know when someone in your league adds or drops a player? The app will send you alerts and take you directly to your league chat. The 2023 season is your time to shine. Download the ESPN Fantasy app to get started.
And of course, ESPN Fantasy Football is the #1 fantasy game with the season right around the corner. Get your league started now at ESPN.com/fantasyfootball. All right, we're back here on the ESPN Fantasy Football Marathon Mock Draft. We are on to round 5. Anita Marks is on the clock.
Yeah, so I thought about Justin Fields. No, not for me. He needs to learn how to throw the ball better.
I just saw your shirt.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
Whoa.
I'm going with Rashad White.
What? No!
Anita!
White.
You knew it. I gave it.
I made the costume change at the break.
And no one noticed.
Nobody noticed, right?
That was
You
very
thought I
sneaky
still
of you.
had the Christian McCaffrey shirt
Yes,
on.
that's right.
That's what happened.
Deceptive.
Yes. But I'm going to go White. Fournette is out, so obviously, he's going to get
He's the man.
Can we say bell cow? I mean, is that I'm
Very
expecting
well.
right?
The backups are Chase Edmonds, maybe Sean Tucker, Keyshawn Vaughn. That's his competition right now.
Another thing, and I was reading or I was hearing from one of you fantasy experts, and that is that Baker Mayfield loves dump downs, right?
Yeah.
He loves those check downs to his running back. So I think he's going to get an uptick in the passing game as well.
Can you please stop taking all my favorite targets like a round earlier than they're supposed to go?
Yeah, wait a minute.
Wow.
How come when Mike did it, it was a reach, but when you do it, it's really smart. How does that work?
I'm not thrilled about how this is going.
Liz Loza on the clock.
That was my pick.
Oh.
I am really, so I see what's happening here. We were friends.
We can trade.
Okay.
Are you guys still on for drinks or no?
Double. Martinis, not wine. But I always have a backup plan, as all good planners do. And so I'm going to switch positions in accordance with Stephania's advice from last night, and I'm going to draft T.J. Hawkinson.
Hey.
Yet another Lion
That's who I
that
was
is not
thinking.
available for you,
Well,
Daniel.
speaking of the Lions, he averaged over 8.5 targets per game
that's
once
right.
he
Except for he's a
landed
Viking
in
now.
Minnesota, and 13 of those looks came in the red area. I think that number goes up with Adam Thielen in Carolina, so
There
I'll
you
pick
have
myself
it.
a nice tight end.
Shefty, pick 43.
Pain.
My
Hey,
turn?
yes, your turn.
Hurts.
Okay, we're gonna go out on a little bit of a limb here. And
Okay.
if there are people that could gamble on certain running backs, then we're gonna gamble another running back. And we're gonna go with Breece Hall.
I like it. Yes.
Okay.
A pick for down the line. And we will count down Breece Hall coming through for us in October, November, December when it matters.
I like it a lot. Dalvin Cook signed, but also off the
fantasy
PUP list.
championships are decided, he'll be there for us.
All righty.
I'm with
Pick
you.
number 44, Eric Moody. Did you want Breece Hall at that pick?
I really wanted T.J. Hawkinson.
Oh, Liz.
Yeah, so once I heard that, it was like pain. But, as Liz mentioned, you always have to have a contingency plan. And so I'm just kind of thinking, should I go with another running back here?
Yeah.
Go with a wide receiver?
Defense.
I'd go defense.
Team defense.
Yeah.
And it's just so many options. Kicker? Kicker?
Nothing wrong with that.
But here's what my gut is telling me. I'm going to go with Team Moody selects Amari Cooper.
Okay.
Amari Cooper. So I'm going with Amari Cooper here. He'll be in my flex, and he ranked top 12 in the league last year. If you look at target share and air yard share, great connection with Deshaun Watson. So let's go with it.
Amari Cooper, safe and steady at wide receiver 2 or wide receiver, or flex, I should say, for you in this lineup construction. Negandhi back in the board.
I was holding my breath because Eric has taken a couple picks right before me, and then I love the Aaron Jones pick as well. So I need a running back because who knows about Jonathan Taylor? So we're going with Dameon Pierce. He'll carry the workload there in Houston, and obviously he was fantastic when he was on the field.
Yeah, he was awesome last year.
So we'll see how this plays out, especially with the unknown at quarterback.
Seems like it could be a better running game than people expect. Really good offensive line. A lot of investments in that offensive line in Houston. All right, so that brings us to Daniel Dopp.
Yeah, it's weird. I'm going to draft a wide receiver in the 5th round that has averaged 16 fantasy points per game for 6 consecutive seasons. I'm not sure why you guys let him get to me. I'm going to take Keenan Allen here as my flex spot. I understand 31, had a little bit of an injury history last year, but in this new offense with Kellen Moore, the idea that we're going to see a better version of Justin Herbert than what we saw last year, give me that #1 passing game option as my flex.
I like it. The guys that hang in there in their 30s and are still top 12, top 15 receivers, generally slot guys, short range targets. That's exactly what Keenan Allen
He made a comment the other day about now with this new offensive coordinator, he expects to be playing outside the slot as well.
Oh, you guys buy that or
He
no?
felt,
No, not Quentin Johnson, Mike Williams.
That's sort of my thought, too, right? Is
Well,
that, like,
clearing
you've
out
got
lots of space for him.
let's see how creative they get.
Okay. Stefania, you are up.
Yes, I am. And I'm gonna yes, I am.
Confirmed.
And I am going going to follow the Adam Schefter strategy of taking somebody who will be fresh in week 4, and that's Alvin Kamara.
Yeah. Okay. Coming off the suspension. 3-game ban, obviously, for Alvin Kamara. Perhaps you pay the premium on Jamal Williams later, but week 4 and on, you could have a top 15 to 18 running back.
Yeah, and he's on my bench right now. I mean, I've got insurance in case anybody gets hurt, as they often do.
All right, Mike, you are. Yeah, they sure do. Mike, you're on the clock.
All right, I'm going to go with one of my favorite breakouts in fantasy football this season. This guy it's Christian Watson.
Hey!
10th in fantasy points down the stretch last season. Very dependent on touchdowns, but also extremely efficient, extremely dependent on.
Yeah.
And who else are they throwing into in Green Bay? It's one of the youngest skill groups I've seen at wide receiver and tight end since I've been doing this job. Christian Watson should be a feature player.
We're not supposed to tip picks. Like, you got to let the commissioner make the announcement.
I will be getting an email from HR shortly.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a fine.
It's a fine. I will match the Ryan Clark fine for showing up late to NFL Live today. So $150 to each one of you. All right, I got to be honest with you. There is a player that I really am tempted to take right now. I'm not going to reveal it at this moment, but I am nervous, and I will react if that player is taken before I get back on the clock. But I'm going to take the safe play here and just go with Jerry Jeudy, another player that I have a lot of exposure to so far this season, the last 5 weeks of last season. Jerry Jeudy caught fire. The pedigree sort of finally showed itself, and there's one thing he has to do. Stop dropping the football. Too many drops as a rookie. Had that drop in week 1 of the preseason. If he holds on to the ball, Jerry Jeudy should be in line for a big year.
Are you comfortable, though, with Russell Wilson throwing the football?
Kevin, it does make me a little bit nervous, but I do have some faith in Sean
my
Payton.
concern.
I know. Did you watch the last preseason game?
Speak for Field. I am.
Okay. My attorney, Mr. Schefter, is confident in Russell Wilson.
Okay. That's like the one thing that did work last year. Jeudy to Wilson connection. That was like the only thing that went well.
I literally stood on a table for Russell Wilson last year, and it did not work out. So
literally stood on a table for
They
him.
got some concerns up front in Denver. Mike McGlinchey hurt. Russell Wilson better be on the move more than we saw last year.
We didn't see that in that preseason game. He
did not. They're keeping their cards close to the vest early in the preseason.
Ready to surprise.
I heard that he wants to do everything the opposite of what happened last year. I forget who said that.
I can't remember.
Yeah, not sure.
Interesting.
Nathaniel Hackett joining us in the next hour of the show. More on that. Brad,
my
you're on the
coach's
clock
name
for the
out of your
finals
mouth.
pick. Final pick, sorry.
This is, I feel like I should probably go with a running back because of the uncertainty of Jacobs.
Probably you're going to be judged.
No one's like screaming at me to take him here. I do have a receiver that I still have high on my board here that will be the #1 receiver on his team that took it to the house in the preseason game the other day. I'm going to go with DJ Moore.
Dang it! I knew I should have done that.
Was that the guy?
That was the guy that I wanted. You O's the mentalist over there?
No, I just like DJ Moore
really badly.
Fourth round grade on him.
Great pick right there, Graz.
You wanted him really badly. You literally just picked.
I know. I'm telling myself, I always get this whacked up. People are like, wait, are you not following your board? What are you doing here, man? What are the rankings for if we're not going to follow that one?
What was I talking about? That was my red flag.
Yeah.
If you really want someone, you better get them. Or else.
Stephania knows exactly what she is doing. What else is new? We are through 5 rounds of this ESPN Fantasy Football Marathon mock draft. Look at the players still available. DeAndre Hopkins, he's now a Tennessee Titan, still getting used to that. Chris Godwin, man, is Mr. Reliable out of the slot for the Buccaneers. And Kenneth Walker III. Are we too concerned about Zach Charbonnet? We'll find out soon just how far Kenneth Walker III falls.
Chardonnay.
Welcome back. Scooby Mageza here, Erin, Dolan. Erin, the biggest surprise for me out of that round right there was Schefter going with Breece Hall. He knows better than anybody that Dalvin Cook has been picked up by the Jets for an $8.6 million contract. Ladies and gents, that is starting running back money. And taking a look at the 41 through 45 right now on the screen. But tell me your thoughts on that pickup right there.
Well, I think the expectation is that Breece Hall is going to come back and he's going to be healthy. Unfortunately, in his rookie season, he was injured, but things could change. He was taken off the PUP list today, and while Dalvin Cook is an amazing running back, I think it's going to be splitting time with a guy like Breece Hall. They're going to want to develop a younger player. So I am surprised by it, but I understand the rationale.
Yeah, definitely. Honestly, I would have taken somebody like Alvin Kamara because when you think about Breece Hall coming off that ACL injury, it's really going to take him at least 3 games to get back to game shape. He just got activated off the PUP list. And as we know, the ACL injury is nothing easy to recover from. Right now, we're working on having Liz come in to join the show to talk about her draft strategy. Liz, what's going on? We got like 2 minutes to talk to you. So first off, right off the top, Dopp and Eric wanted Hawkinson. Dopp told us when he was with us over here. How happy does that make you feel that you took somebody's pick from their feet?
I don't like taking other people's picks. I'm not into sniping, but I am into stacking myself the best team, and I think I did that with the pick.
Liz, I was a little bit surprised that you grabbed T. Higgins earlier with Patrick Mahomes still on the board. I know you got Lamar Jackson, but what was the rationale there with grabbing Higgins?
You know, honestly, I've done a bunch of mocks where I took one of those top 3 quarterbacks on the earlier side, and I just didn't like how the rest of my team looked. So I knew I could get a value with Lamar, and I think given his legs and what Baltimore's coming to the table with this season, it was a pretty good pick. And I love T. Higgins. I think he's clearing 1,000 yards for a 3rd year in a row this year.
All right, Liz, we got 20 seconds. You got one running back, Austin Ekeler. What's your strategy going forward now that you're thin at that position?
Get another one? I got to find me another one, and I got to do it fast.
Real talk. Really appreciate you, Liz. Good luck the rest of the way. We'll be watching. And great point there of when you have a running back and you need another one, just
stressful.
Go out and get him.
This is a very stressful thing. I'm stressed for them, and I'm not even making the picks. I'm just following up and asking the questions.
No lie, Erin has been sitting here saying that she is stressed, but great strategy from her so far. Liz has a great team. Ekeler, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Higgins, Jackson, and Hawkinson. We got the 6th round coming up next, and picking off the top will be Anita. Yes, so let's see how that goes. 6th round, we'll send you right back to there. Stick around.
Fields Yates here with the make-or-break rules for drafting a winning fantasy football team. First, focus on value. All fantasy positions are not created equal. Over the past 2 seasons, a running back has scored 240 fantasy points 16 times compared to 28 times for wide receivers. Running back value drops off quickly, and if you don't use the early rounds to stock up, your fantasy team stock could go down. You should take wide receivers early. Why? Because wide receivers are the 2nd most important position in fantasy. You simply can't have too many. Remember, running backs and receivers comprise at least 4 of your 9 roster spots. You need deep talent at both positions to survive a long season. Be patient at quarterback. Sure, we'd all love to have these guys, but don't forget, there are a lot of good fantasy QBs. In 2022, 18 different quarterbacks averaged more than 15 fantasy points per game. And of the 15 players who appeared on the most championship round teams in 2022, just 2 of them were quarterbacks. Yes, you can win your fantasy league with an Allen, Hurts, or Mahomes, but you can also win by keeping up with the Joneses. Draft a tight end first or last. Tight end has a top tier of 1 and then a group of solid options, but depth at the position makes the next group of tight ends almost interchangeable. So if you don't get this guy and you follow my advice and target running backs and wide receivers early, don't panic. You can wait on tight end and still win your league. In fantasy football, defense doesn't win championships. 2022's top fantasy defense, the New England Patriots, entered the season as an afterthought and were drafted in less than a quarter of leagues. The point? Defense is the least predictable position in fantasy. Yet someone in your league will still draft the defense early. Don't be that person. Finding breakout players late in drafts wins leagues, so remember, upside matters late. 5 of the top 15 scoring receivers at year's end were drafted 30th or later at the position. Late in your draft, always look to young players with paths to playing time. Upside, upside, upside. Here's something else. Know the lingo. One example, streaming. Streaming means to use a bench or waiver wire find as a short-term starter due to a favorable matchup. Some successful managers stream tight end, defense, and kicker all season long. You could be next. Remember, your draft night roster won't be your Week 18 roster. Trades, savvy use of the waiver wire, injuries, all will transform your team. And that's the fun of fantasy football. Draft night is just the start. Get in the game and go to ESPN.com/FFL or download the ESPN Fantasy app to draft with the #1 fantasy game.
Dolan, got to take a deep breath and hold that. Okay.
I can't tell about that guy. He might be a little bit annoying. Let's get to round 6 of the ESPN Fantasy Football Mock Draft. Fantasy Football Marathon Mock Draft. Dan Graziano on the clock now. First 5 picks looking pretty strong. Josh Jacobs, a big question mark for you, Graz.
Yeah, he is, and I should probably fill in at running back, but I'm not there yet. I feel like I got to take a quarterback here because there's 9 that I'd be happy with. 5 are off the board, and I don't pick again for a while.
You don't want to be the caboose.
I've been sitting here thinking I need either Justin Herbert's or Justin Fields to fall to me.
Justin.
But I wanted just one of them to fall to me, so I didn't have to pick.
Aha!
And they both fell, so I don't know what to do. I'm gonna continue the theme of taking dudes that I talked to on my training camp trip. Justin Herbert is the quarterback on Team Graziano.
I like it.
Yeah. I thought he was going to come back to me. I thought we were off the quarterback train.
Real talk, though. Like, do you think this is Dan's like subtle way of telling us that like he gets to travel the country during training camp and talk to these cool athletes?
Is it that subtle?
It's not subtle. It's actually a great point. Although, you know what? You have nothing on Ryan Clark. Like, today we were discussing, like, every NFL team we discussed, he's like, oh, well, when I sat down in Mike Tomlin's office last week, coming off the plane after which I had to sit down with Jalen Hurts, I had dinner at his house.
Every camp I went to, oh, Ryan Clark was here the other day. Like massive celebrity. I was just following.
RC, by the way, is going to play fantasy football this year.
Oh,
we're going to make him do it. He doesn't actually. No, we're going to make him. All right, I'm on the clock here, and tempted to take a certain player that plays a position that I'm already well stocked at, but I will go with Deontay Johnson. And not only, I like this grunts from you guys when I make these picks. Not only will I take Deontay Johnson, but I will be here, and I will guarantee that Deontay Johnson, I will guarantee he will score a touchdown this year. Wow. He will score at least 1 touchdown this season. Yes.
Bold, yeah.
I'm going out on a limb. I know that
just a lot of bad luck, right? Like you go back and you look at you look at the film. It was just bad luck.
I mean, people tell me though that in this industry to make it, you got to have the hot takes, you got to have the things that you got to have the titles for YouTube to get lots of views. So Deontay Johnson will score a touchdown this season. Pays off his pick 52. Yes, I mean, truly like an remarkably bad season in terms of luck last year for Deontay Johnson. I'm not sure the ceiling for Deontay Johnson is as high as some of the other wide receivers still on the board, but the floor, to me at least, feels quite high.
One of the best in the league at getting open.
Yep.
Just incredible.
Gets open and catches the dang ball. All right, let's go to pick number 53, Mike. Were you thinking about Deontay
I'm on the clock here? All right, let's see. What are we going to do here? You know what? I will go ahead and address the quarterback position.
Wow.
I will go with a player I called could be this year's Jalen Hurts, Justin Fields in Chicago. Very similar situation. Adds a ton of value with his legs. They upgraded his supporting cast. Stephania,
you guys spend way too much time together, the 4 of you.
You're the one taking all the guys out. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, you know why? Because every day after work, we go grab drinks. Now, granted, for us, it's at like 5:15 because we go to bed by 8:30. But yeah, that's what we do. All right, pick number 54 is Stephania Bell.
I'm stuck now.
Sounds miserable.
I am, because I was going to take Justin Herbert or Justin Fields.
I am always open to talk trade. All the time. It's my favorite part of the game.
I'll tell you what, if you take Brock Purdy, we'll give you Trey Lance and Sam Darnold, too. You can have them all. We'll give them to you right now. All 3. 3-for-1 deal.
Wow.
You think you're funny?
I think he is.
Yeah, he does.
I think I'm hilarious.
And that's all that matters in his own mind.
I'm laughing. That's what matters here.
Yeah, knock yourself out.
Interesting names here.
I watched that Eagles playoff game with her.
Yeah,
it was great.
I
was having a hard time being excited. It was.
He was
cold.
Yay.
Leaving the room, going, yes.
I know. Well, fine. You're just going to make me double down on my 49ers because I'm going to take a tight end that
No.
Yes.
Even better.
Here we go.
Dude. Way too much time together.
Why? But apparently not enough to know who they're going to take.
No, of course they do.
You know what?
This is playing out.
You know, I'm watching this. Is you're about to get your pick in, and I see Dopp like put George Kittle on his cue. When you said George Kittle, I was just like,
the only thing that could get me over having somebody snipe from me is sniping somebody else.
Dang it. All right, so you have at your disposal. So if you want a 49ers tight end, Ross Dwelly.
Still out there. Still on the board.
Yeah. So you do have 49ers tight ends available.
I don't think I want
55 overall.
This
55
really blew up the build I was trying to go for.
55. This is your chance to be dramatic and funny in the podcast.
So here's what I'm going to do. for 55, at pick 55, hold on, Field, I'm going to do a thing. Just hold on for a second. I'm going to take, I think I'm going to change my strategy. I was going to wait, but I'm going to take the guy that I already called one of the most boring running backs in fantasy football. That's James Conner, a dude that has been a top 10 running back in 3 of the last 5 seasons. Obviously, not a lot of excitement going on in Arizona right now, but he's going to get a ton of volume in this offense. I guess if I have to take someone not George Kittle, let's go James Conner.
Had some of his best games without Kyler Murray. Down the stretch last season, may not have Kyler for a chunk of this season, maybe all of the season, we don't know, but he will get volume, and that is king in fantasy football.
Kevin Negandhi up for pick 56.
I am hedging on a handful of, because this feels like in this area where you're in that 55, 56 range, you could pick 5 to 10 guys, right? And you could hit on one of them, or you could really I mean, like, for example, Mike Evans, the value there, but who's the quarterback? Right? What are we going to see specifically in Tampa? Because I don't think it's going to be a really good season there for them. I have the unknown with DeAndre Hopkins, specifically at Tennessee. So I am going to go with, I think, a very boring pick at running back, but I also think he's going to be a 1 in Alexander Madison.
I like that. I thought it was going to be a former Eagle. Is that what you thought?
No, I'm not picking him in Carolina. I do not have the confidence in him. Now, if I had value with him later on, but I'm not going to pick Miles Sanders.
Alexander Madison.
I've been around that block.
You know, I was sitting there thinking, you know, Madison would be a great pick here. Just in those 5 career games that he's had with at least 20 touches, that's a guy that's averaged 146 total yards per game, scored 4 touchdowns. But you know what, Evan? I always have contingency plans, my friend. Yep. I always have contingency plans. So I'll put it out there. So Team Moody selects James Cook.
Ooh. No! Are you kidding me? He looked over my shoulder. You're cheating. I literally just said the thing. That's my breakout player of the season. I'm the only one brave enough to do it every time.
Wow. I realized that. That's why I was like, I need to get him now.
Wait, Liz, did you see what he just did, though, too? He goes, I'll take James Cook. You're right there next to him. You fired up. He doubled down on it. He mocked you.
I stay relatively cool, but that one hurt.
Yeah.
All right.
Schefter, who would have thought a year ago that both Alexander Madison and James Cook would go ahead of Dalvin Cook in the fantasy draft?
Wow. A little bit of a run on running backs here. And we're going to continue that run on running backs. And we are going to go with a guy who Pete Carroll today said will be ready for the start of the regular season. And we will go with Kenneth Walker.
Dang. All right. Nice pick right there. It feels like maybe he has just slid a little bit too far down the boards. I know that Zach Charbonnet is going to have a role within this offense, and there are some people that feel like Kenneth Walker is way too much of like a home run or an infield single as a runner. But I tell you what, down the stretch last season, 5 of his last 10 games were top 10 finishes. Like, that seems pretty good to me for a guy who has plenty of talent. All right, it's not going to be James Cook, Liz, but who will it be at pick 59?
It's not going to be Kenneth Walker.
Hey!
And it's not going to be 25-year-old Alexander Madison, so it's going to have to be Miles Sanders.
I like this pick a lot.
I don't mind the pick. I know that it's not exciting, and I know that you can't get wrapped up in all of the flash. And I will say we are expecting a lot of volume. Our friend Mike Clay has him projected for over 200 carries. And last season, only 3 running backs who recorded at least 200 carries finished outside of the top 20 players at the position. So I need an RB2, and Miles Sanders fits the bill.
We're almost halfway through.
Look at all the vacated touches.
I like it.
Oh, don't you say anything about that. Wow. You need to.
You are not invited to drinks.
I guess
we got bad blood now.
Hey, I see where you're going down. Anita, final pick of the 6th round, which will make us halfway through the draft.
So I'm sitting here and I only have one wide receiver that
so it's
I
time.
selected, with the first overall pick with Jefferson.
That's really the only wide receiver you need,
He's a really
good one.
Doesn't he count for 2?
Some weeks, yeah.
It does.
And, Kev, you make excellent point with Mike Evans. There's Chris Godwin there, DeAndre Hopkins, and Scary Terry. No offense, but I'm going to go with a guy that I think is going to have such an amazing season that I think he's going to be the #1 wide receiver with the Chargers. And I'm going Mike Williams. Now playing in the slot primarily.
Which is insane.
And Kellen Moore loves him, some slot wide receivers.
So we're buying this, huh?
I think he's going to get a ton of targets. Obviously, the relationship is there with him and Herbert. I was hoping to get Mike Williams and Herbert on this turn and stack them. It didn't happen, but nonetheless, I think Mike Williams is in store for a really big season this year.
Anita, I'm not going to lie to you. When you first started to unfold that shirt, I could only see Keenan Allen. I thought we had our first draft snafu of the evening.
Right, and you were going to say, oh, he was already selected.
No, of course you took Mike Williams because you are a smart drafter. That gets us halfway through the 12 rounds that we're going to conduct on tonight's show. And look at that. We have 1.95 drafters and counting. My only hope is that they're having more fun with their drafts and less frustration than we are.
I'm going with Rashad White.
What? No! I'm going to go with DJ Moore.
Dang it! I knew I should have done that. Was that the guy? That was the guy that I wanted. Yeah.
Because I'm going to take a tight end that every,
No!
Even
better.
Here we go.
Dude!
Hey, no commercials. You get to hang out with Skubie Mageza here with Erin, Dolan. This is a part of the draft where it gets really spicy. You're seeing everybody getting fired up. So I'm fired up to talk about this next. Old faces, new places. And we're going to start with Aaron Rodgers. He just ended up with the Jets, a guy who is still on the board, an elite-level quarterback who they're raving over in camp. And for anyone who has watched Hard Knocks, you've seen it all as well. Thoughts on Aaron Rodgers and how he's going to affect this offense this year?
Yeah, raving about it is an understatement. I feel like all we talk about is Aaron Rodgers. But this upcoming season, I have high expectations for him. I take a look at his passing yards prop. I'd take the over. It's 3.925 and a half. He's hit over this mark in 4 of the last 5 seasons, failing to do so last season, which was arguably one of the worst of his career. But we know he's going to be reunited with Nathaniel Hackett, who was the offensive coordinator of the Packers when he won those back-to-back MVP seasons. He's got the personnel around him. A little concerned about the offensive line in terms of protecting him, but he should be primed for another good season. I take him over passing yards.
Yeah, and I would even argue, Erin, that Aaron Rodgers has always had a questionable offensive line because it was the same thing in Green Bay. So if you have a quarterback who is used to being in that type of situation, it is Aaron Rodgers. And then on top of that, he was a really good quarterback when it came down to throwing towards the running back. Dalvin Cook is now with Aaron Rodgers, and he's bound to make some noise, who is still on the board, mind you. So I'm looking to see where Dalvin Cook ends up here in this draft. Another old face in a new place is DeAndre Swift. He is with your Eagles. However, I will say that this Eagles backfield is looking like a running back by committee. How do you feel about Swift being the guy?
I'm excited about it. I think this is going to be good, and because it's also going to take the pressure off Jalen Hurts. He's going to have to run as much. I talked about that earlier. I don't like Jalen Hurts over his rushing touchdowns. I also don't like Jalen Hurts over his rushing yards for the mere fact I don't want him to get injured. So lean on the running game. Miles Sanders no longer on the team. You bring in a guy like Swift. Use him. I'm excited to see him.
Yeah, we do know that he has had injury concerns in the past, missed 3 games in the last 3 seasons. Another old face in a new place, Darren Waller. Speaking of camp raving and camp reviews, this guy has been an absolute beast. They're throwing the ball to him a lot. Him and Daniel Jones work together a lot in the offseason. Darren Waller, one of the sleeper picks or fantasy just blow-ups this year. How do you feel about him?
I'm not high on him at all. I think back in 2019 and 2020, he was in his prime. He was putting up a ton of stats. He's played 20 games the last 2 seasons. He's coming off of injury.
Yeah,
Daniel Jones is throwing to him. What are you excited about? I don't know.
I will say right now he's projected to be the best wide receiver option, and Daniel Jones is going to have that tight end to rock with. So it's going to be interesting to see how they rock with each other during the season. We got the 7th round coming up next with Anita Marks picking. I said it last time, my bad, but now she's picking. She just had a pick earlier with Mike Williams. So what you going with next, Anita? Back to the Fantasy Football Marathon.
Here. Did you just get the link to join an ESPN Fantasy Football League but don't know where to start? Don't worry, the ESPN Fantasy app is the answer. You can access ESPN Plus tools, cheat sheets, and advice from ESPN's top experts to get ready. You can use the app to invite your friends, run your draft, and customize your league. During the season, use the ESPN Fantasy app to add or drop players, post trades, track your progress, and see where you stand in your league. Download the ESPN Fantasy app and get started now.
Take a look at the best available players. A lot of notable talent still on the board. We've got DeAndre Hopkins and Chris Godwin and Mike Evans, both Bucs wide receivers, plus Terry McLaurin, and of course Hollywood Brown for the Arizona Cardinals. So we begin round 7. 5 straight running backs just went off the board. According to ESPN's ADP data, this is about where Justin Tucker and the 49ers start to be taken. Our advice is don't do that. Wait. Really? Wait. Patience is a virtue in life. Don't press press. So the first person who has the shot to take either Justin Tucker or the 49ers defense in round 7 is Anita Marks. Will you be doing that?
No, I will pass. Thank you.
Smart. Yes.
Because she was Graham Gano.
Oh, look at the shirt. I mean, come on.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Wow.
I mean, listen, to me, Deshaun Watson, Trevor Lawrence, Dak Prescott, Kirk Cousins, which, typically finishes in the top 10 every year, but, we use him as a QB2. I feel like this is the year for Trevor Lawrence, right? Second year with Doug Peterson. Now Calvin Ridley added to that mix of weapons that he's going to be throwing to. I drafted ATN, utilizing the passing game as well. So somewhat of a pseudo stack, kind of, maybe, sort of. So I think this is going to be the year for him. I'm excited to see what he can do second year in that system.
A lot of quarterbacks. I believe that's 8 quarterbacks now off the board. The 8 that you might expect to be off the board. Liz Loza, you are up. Do you have a quarterback already?
I already have a quarterback. I do.
Yes. She took Lamar Jackson.
I am looking at a flex right now, and I am looking at an incredible player that I have ranked just inside my top 20 wide receivers. It's DeAndre Hopkins, and he's falling to me. Sure, low-volume passing offense, he's a part of it. This is still the NFL, and guess what they do now in 2023? They throw the ball, even in Tennessee, and DeAndre Hopkins is going to get all of those looks.
Okay, DeAndre Hopkins, who changes scenery for the, second time in his career. The run heaviest or second run heaviest team in the NFL last year, Tennessee, but when they throw the football, it should be DeAndre Hopkins who sees all the targets. Schefter, pick 63.
Field, as I continue to fill out my board, I am missing a tight end, and I am missing a way to stack my team even further. With saying that, I am going to take Dallas Goedert.
Wow.
And now give me Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown, and Dallas.
Triple stack,
How about that?
Sure. So you want to be playing Adam on the Eagles bye week, Dopp.
Yes.
Exactly. If I didn't draft Kelce, I was going to draft Goddard high. I think he's going to have like 90 catches this season. I think this is his breakout year.
I have the team that McKenna and Negandhi would love.
You do. Yes.
And really, Schefter, what else matters beyond that? Moody, you're up.
Okay, so I know it's time to address the tight end position. So I know that Liz already had a tight end.
Don't do it.
I think you know where I'm thinking here. I looked at Anita's roster. She had a tight end. I know Schefter did not. And so Schefter, I was thinking, had options. Dallas Goedert, or the guy that I'm thinking about, Kyle Pitts.
Oh,
wow. Let's go.
All right,
Kyle Pitts.
2 straight claps for your. I love it.
Yeah, I'm getting excited
for your own picks. I know.
I'm going to give you one stat, and we'll move on. So only 2 players have finished with a target per route run rate above 28% and an average depth of target of 13+ yards over the last 5 seasons. Julio Jones, Kyle Pitts.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. By the way, I just thought about this. Like when you clap for your own pick, it reminds me of Family Feud. When they said, "What's a guess?"
Good answer.
Good answer. All right, Kyle Pitts. Good answer. Freak athlete. I just hope the quarterback plays consistent this year. I have some confidence in Desmond Ridder, but a bit of an unknown there, Kevin Negandhi.
Quarterback plays the big thing for me. I only have one wide receiver. It's Devontae Smith, and we talked about this last round with Godwin and Evans. I just don't feel comfortable with the Bucs situation. McLaurin is a phenomenal talent, just can't get consistency at quarterback in Washington. I'm going to go outside the box, and this is a draft where you pick who you want. And if this guy goes off the board in the next round, I would lose it. I'm going to take George Pickens.
Hey!
And the reason why is just the guy was a physical freak at Georgia. And when you look at what he and when you look at him staying healthy and staying out of trouble, the guy was the #1 high school recruit when you talk about wide receivers. The talent is there, and he is putting it all together, and I think we're going to see that big jump.
Same class as Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave out of high school.
And he was higher than both those guys, right?
I learned that from Ryan Clark earlier today.
It's not really fair because you're scouting college football players all season long.
But I always thought when the Steelers drafted him, they were getting a steal if he could stay on the field.
Yeah.
And it's worked out quite well.
Big breakout expected for that entire offense. Second year of Kenny Pickett, second year of George Pickens. Daniel Dopp, you are back on the clock. How many Lions do you have on your roster so far?
None right now.
Just
Fields,
two,
you know what?
a head coach and a GM on your shirt.
I think this needs a little grit for this roster, guys. I think that's what I'm lacking. And David Montgomery is going to come into this running back room. Did you know that the Detroit Lions last year led the entire NFL with points from the running back position? I don't know if you heard a guy named Jamal Williams.
Why are you so angry?
He scored a lot of points last year. David Montgomery's going to get his role. He's finally freed from Liz's Chicago Bears. And in a good offense, I think he's going to be fantastic this year.
Yeah. Should be the finisher.
He's angry because he's talking himself into it.
So interesting to see that Jahmyr Gibbs second round for you, Stephania, or third round? Third round, right?
Third round.
So the difference right now in terms of the draft capital is about 4 rounds between Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery, who we do expect to be amongst, if not the most productive duos of all running backs, fantasy running back duos this season. So, Mike Clay, you are back on the clock, and that means I'm sorry, Stephania's back on the clock.
I'll go. That's fine.
I need to borrow. Can I borrow Dan's reader for a little bit here? Yeah. Stephania's on the clock here.
Yep, and I'm one of the people that doesn't have a quarterback yet.
Okay.
And so I'm going to solve that problem right now, and I'm going to take Dak Prescott.
There you have it. Dak Prescott off
I know.
the
You
board.
guys don't get very excited about Dak Prescott.
Well, you do it for yourself, right?
Yeah.
Kevin's excited, right?
I'm excited that you drafted.
I don't know where all the love for Dak has gone, but
to the other team with the interceptions.
You know, I think that has gone a little too far. I was at Cowboys camp. I look pretty good. You guys are high on Ceedee Lamb. Who do you think's throwing the ball to him? You know?
It helps that he is Brandon Cooks, and he trusts that second and third read. Losing the tight end, though, I think plays a role, right?
Well, he's never been an interception guy till last year, right? You can write that off.
I
Plus, they fired the guy that was making him score all those points, right? So, you should be all set.
Yeah, I think I don't know if it's hate, but the anti-Dak sentiment has gone way too far.
All right, so we have 67 picks so far. Mike Clay, you are up 68, and check this out. You've made 5 selections so far. 6 selections so far, so time for your 7th round pick. Who will it be?
All right, so a lot of people here are consulting their children for their picks, right? So I did the same. I reached out to my 7-year-old Zoe and I asked her who I should pick, and she said, Elsa? Is that? Elsa? Right. Yeah, I'll take Elsa. No, she said Chris Godwin. We're going Chris Godwin. This reminds me a lot of Seattle last year, right? DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett were plummeting because everyone was afraid of the quarterback situation. Those two proved they were superstar players and they could overcome, they didn't really overcome bad quarterback play because Geno was pretty good. But I think Chris Godwin and Mike Evans as well, just so good. They'll be fine if it's Baker Mayfield or Kyle Trask.
Okay, that's a nice pick right there by Mike Clay.
Thanks, man.
But not to be outdone. I'm up next. And I would go Drake London. I thought about Mike Evans. I thought about going back-to-back Bucs wide receivers. But the theme of my pass catchers is different than the theme of one of my running backs, Derrick Henry, is I just want young playmakers across this roster. So Drake London, who we expect to be even better this season. We do have some confidence in this offense, hopefully being improved. You see the talent.
You're all in on the Falcons, aren't you?
Well, I got 2 Falcons, right?
He's got Desmond Ritter coming up.
Yeah. Well, I do not have a quarterback yet, so perhaps I could go with Desmond Ritter. So I'm going to go with Drake London, my top bench option right now. I just think he's going to have a much better season. This offense will look much more formidable.
Like it.
Dan Graziano, pick 70.
I think the next receiver on my board is Tyler Lockett, but I already have DK Metcalf, and I'm hesitant to go with both of them, right, for reasons that, I don't know, may make sense and may not. I don't know. I want a piece of that 49er offense. I'm going to go with Brandon Ayuk. I think he's going to have a big year.
Brandon Ayuk, been a star of 49ers training camp, according to Stephania Bell and others on the scene there. All right, so we are through 7 rounds. Brandon Ayuk, number 32 wide receiver in our rankings. And guess how many people have already drafted a team? 1.97 million. 30,000 away from that 2 million drafted teams goal. I bet we shatter it. The ESPN Fantasy Football Marathon Mock Draft rolls along.
Welcome back. No commercials. You got Skubie Mageza and Erin Dolan over here. First off, I just want to say, because I'm here with the Philadelphia Eagles fans, that Schefter is now an Eagles fan as well. Philly, stand up. Check this out, Erin. How do you feel about this? I mean, I know fantasy football is about individual performances, but he's got your squad there.
He really does. I mean, I don't know what he's, waking up this morning like, you know what, I'm going to go with everybody that I can from the Philadelphia Eagles that I can grab. I mean, Dallas Goedert, A.J. Brown, Jalen Hurts. I mean, when I say it's a stacked roster.
Yeah, you don't see that stack often. I do like the stack of Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown together because that's the one and the one.
He should be the number one.
But at this point, it's like if the Eagles have a bad game, Schefter, then you might have a bad week as well. Schefter, what's going on? Skubie Mageza, Erin Dolan over here. We were just saying that Philly is clearly your team right now, and you're looking like you might be having them winning the Super Bowl this year. But how are you feeling about your team so far in the draft?
Well, I was doing whatever I could to impress Erin and make sure that she liked my team. And I think that by now, she has to like my team, right?
I do. I really like it. I should ask you, who's your favorite player that you selected from the Eagles or from your draft so far?
Well, I wasn't planning on going A.J. Brown, but he was sitting there at number 19, I believe. And then I figured in a 10-team league, there's no reason not to take Jalen Hurts, and the run on tight ends had begun, and Dallas Goedert was sitting there. So it wasn't like I went in thinking, boy, I'm going to stack Eagles here. But the way the board fell was such that I felt like there were good values there with really good players, and I got no problem taking arguably the best team in the NFC, taking the quarterback, top wide receiver, and the tight end off that team, putting them all together, and seeing how it works out this upcoming season.
All right, Schefter, so we know you're the insider here, and you got Breece Hall, and you don't have Dalvin Cook, which you still might be able to get right now. That's what I was. If you're stacking the Eagles, are you going to stack it up with the Jets too?
Whisper it.
We love to see it. Good luck the rest of the way.
When I made that pick, that was part of the plan. That's correct.
Let's go. Go out there and get Dalvin. I hope you do. Appreciate you, Schefter.
Thank you.
That was great. Yet is what he said. And I don't mind the Dalvin Cook, Breece Hall stack because it goes back to my Aaron Rodgers point earlier. He throws to the running back.
Yeah, no, he definitely does, and that also just supports my case of hitting over for his passing yards.
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers for the over, Breece Hall or Dalvin Cook, one of those guys are going to have a great season. It's the Jets and the Eagles for Schefter. All right, let's see the next round. Back to you guys.
Our only NFL preseason game happens in Week 2. The Ravens taking on the Commanders Monday, August 21st at 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific on ESPN and ESPN Deportes. Coverage begins at 7 Eastern with a special edition, Monday Night Countdown. Your home ticket reminds me of Family Feud. That's a guess? Good answer. Kevin's excited, right?
I'm more excited than you drafted.
All right, so we are now, more than halfway through this draft. 7 rounds down, nearly 2 million teams drafted. Let's begin with round number 8. Dan Graziano back on the board here, the astute. And by the way, you have 45 seconds per pick now going forward, Graz.
All right, so I'll be quick. I have waited too long to pick that running back. I need to back up Josh Jacobs. I like this guy because I think it's underrated how quickly he came on at the end of last year after it looked like his career might be over mid-season. Cam Akers of the Los Angeles Rams, I think would be the lead guy in that offense, and I think he's going to have a good year.
Do you know who loves Cam Akers?
Not Sean
Doesn't matter.
Wow, Liz, this is your chance. Doesn't matter because
Sean McVay.
Sean McVay loves Cam Akers.
He does.
Yep. But he didn't. He did, then he didn't, and now he does again.
I mean, it's Ross and Rachel.
So, yeah, there you go.
Well said right there.
We were on a
Nice reference.
All right, so when Mike Clay made his last pick in round 7, he talked about how it was just time for Chris Godwin to come off the board. He talked about how he has confidence in both Chris Godwin and Mike Evans, whether it's Baker Mayfield or Kyle Trask under center. The wait is over, Mike Evans. Welcome to Team Yates. Mike Evans, who I thought about in round 7, goes 3 picks later in round 8. The only player with 9 straight 1,000-yard receiving seasons to begin his career, a future Hall of Famer. You are up next, Mike Clay.
That's a good pick. I feel like there haven't been many reaches so far in this draft, which is, I guess, not surprising because Tyler Fulgham's not here this year.
Wow.
I had to
Shots.
I had to sneak one in there.
Tyler is in like he's in like Aruba right
he's
now.
on vacation somewhere.
Yeah, he's probably got a cocktail in hand and Aruba, not watching.
He doesn't care at all.
He's watching?
He's watching.
Confirmed. Okay.
Good. That was for you, Tyler.
He was watching. He's not anymore.
It's funny he didn't show up this year.
Now he's on his way
He
over.
got the wrap last year. Yeah. Good. Hey,
He's hopping on
bring
the
it.
plane.
So I'm up here. I'm going to take a shot on a running back. I have my starters for the most part. I'm going to find a tight end at some point, but I want to, it's a bench spot. I want to get a lottery ticket here. So I'm going to go with Javonte Williams.
Oh, nice. A nice
in
pick.
Denver. Came out really strong last season, 60-plus yards in 3 straight games to open the year, was 7th in targets, or 3rd in targets as well. So Javonte, once he gets back to 100%, should be a fantasy starter. So
okay, really nice pick right there. Stephania, we've talked about this complicated recovery, though, for Javonte Williams. It's going to take some time, as you, by the way, make your pick.
Yeah, it is. But, I mean, he is really doing things that we were not expecting at this point. So all systems go for
And at this
Javonte.
point of the draft, it's like, the risk is
Total-
so mitigated,
total
right?
value.
Yeah.
I mean, you can put him on the bench and see what happens.
got the Stephania all clear. Feeling good about myself.
There you go.
Yeah.
The clean bell of health is what we call it.
Yeah, not quite there yet, but almost.
Clever.
The almost clean bell.
That's why they pay you the medium bucks.
Wow. Wow.
That's why they do it.
Dude, I mean, like,
So
I'm not
clever.
Fulgham.
So clever.
All your shrapnel goes at Fulgham.
He's not here. It has to go somewhere.
Okay.
I am, I'm stuck.
45 seconds.
I'm
Don't go
stuck.
Minnesota Vikings on us.
Yeah, no, not a chance. But I am going to go with I just don't love the offense for this team, but I love this player. And I thought Mike Clay might take him, but he didn't. I'm going to go with Terry McLaurin.
Yeah.
Scary Terry.
All right.
Probably had to wait too long to hear his name.
His nickname's F1.
Sorry, F1.
McLaurin,
McLaurin.
F1.
Yep. McLaurin F1. That doesn't roll off the tongue like Scary Terry does.
But it's good. There already is
Good
Scary
for
Terry,
branding?
right? I don't know. Scary Terry. No.
Okay.
Not Scary Terry.
Scary Terry. So the question marks, Stephania just said it. We don't love this offense, but the player's just so
Yeah, he's
darn
productive.
good.
Like
He's reliable.
every year.
Yeah. We drew comparisons to him.
Hard to let him go.
Yeah, Sam Howell, a great unknown, but Scary Terry right now is kind of like what DJ Moore has been for the past few years, right? Like between 1,000, maybe 1,200 receiving yards, 5 to 6 receiving touchdowns. Off we go to pick number 75. Daniel Dopp on the clock.
Yeah, I am going to take a player that has had 8 receiving touchdowns in each of the last 5 seasons.
Oh.
Do you know who that is?
I do.
It is Tyler Lockett. Oh, sorry, Dan. Sorry, Dan. It is in
You
fact
built this as
Tyler Lockett. Well, Mike answered it right away. I shouldn't have asked the stats guy. That was my fault.
What is the repercussions if you don't take a single Detroit Lions?
I took David Montgomery.
Okay, my bad. Sorry.
They were all good.
He's not counting that. He's the backup. He's number 2. So
Wow, not a backup. But Tyler Lockett is a guy that has been super used in this offense. I understand they got Jackson Smith and Jigba, but he's been really consistent. And he's my wide receiver 4 here. I'm just looking for somebody for bye weeks.
Yeah, one of the most underrated players in the NFL.
Yep.
For sure. He's been
continually
so good.
over and over and over underrated.
Over and over and over underrated. Okay.
Yes.
Kevin Negandhi, an over underrated human and fantasy manager. What do you got?
So these wide receivers are interesting, especially when the unknown with Marquise Brown and Kirk's targets are going to be taken away with Ridley, with the Jaguars when you're looking at stuff. Treylon Burks, I love him, but he's hurt.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just going to go with, because I know they're going to be in the end zone a lot.
Okay.
And it's Isaiah Pacheco, the
Okay.
Chiefs.
Yep.
And that could bite me in the butt, but I also know that specifically with this offense, they're going to figure things out inside 15 yards. And I got him over Clyde Edwards-Helaire, even though he's coming on.
You know what's fun about Isaiah Pacheco is watching somebody that is an offensive lineman score those touchdowns from the 3-yard line. They don't know a traditional goal line play. It's ridiculous.
Hand it to the back inside the 5 is like way down on
Way
the
down
play sheet.
The menu,
It's on
right?
the other side.
Hand toss to the tight end. And
We've been taking wagers on this. Who is the most random person that's going to score a touchdown for the Chiefs from the goal line this year?
Well,
Blake
Bell.
Blake Bell. That's a
Yeah, you got a keeper, Donovan Smith.
Yeah, Donovan
Smith's
okay.
a good one, right?
Yeah. Anybody else? I don't know.
Jawan Taylor.
offensive lineman getting in there.
Oh, yeah.
Honestly, Taylor might throw it to Smith. This offense. It comes on an end around. Yeah.
And if they do, I hope that the Chiefs, if they install that play, it's called ESPN Fantasy Football Marathon Mock Draft. All credit goes to Mike
Draft
Clay.
Snowflake.
That's what it is.
What was it when they did one where they ran in like a circle?
Ring around the posy, right?
You know.
Yeah, I was looking at Pacheco there, but I got to pivot to J.K. Dobbins. So
there you have it.
Team Moody absolutely Dobbins. So.
Okay. All righty. Eric Moody takes J.K. Dobbins, high pedigree, a lot of talent of that player. Just will he be on the field? Will he stay on the field? Adam Schefter is 78th, 8th round, and the Philadelphia Eagles took
Moody.
He just took J.K. Dobbins.
J.K. Dobbins.
The Philadelphia Eagles took all the Georgia Bulldogs. Adam Schefter took all the Philadelphia Eagles, at least so far, as we take a look at 3 of his Philadelphia Eagle picks on his roster. Who is pick number 78?
You got a guy from Georgia.
I could go DeAndre Swift and complete it.
You could.
But I'm going to complete my New York Jet stack and go Dalvin Cook. And have Dalvin Cook with Breece Hall.
Okay.
And now I've got the Jets backfield.
He did.
You've got
See how that works. Look at that. See?
Interesting decision, grabbing Dalvin Cook early and having
But
Breece Hall
see
late.
how that way when Dalvin Cook starts to dip.
Exactly, yeah.
So
see?
out of season, Adam, who you starting
Adam's
week 1?
planning.
Who you starting week 1, Dalvin or Breece?
Maybe neither, because I don't have to. But if I had to start one in week 1,
Dalvin Cook, right?
probably Dalvin.
Yeah, probably Dalvin early, Breece
Probably
later.
Dalvin.
All right, I agree.
All right. So that
Dalvin
brings
over
us
Breece.
to Liz Loza. I'm sorry, people keep taking your picks.
No, I know. It was a brilliant pick, Adam, because it was the one I was going to make.
Is that Dalvin Cook on your computer right there? Is that why it was us? I can see that, yeah.
I did not see it.
Did you have a source that saw it?
Clap it up. I have been very steady in this draft, and it's a very safe draft, and I don't feel the upside. I don't feel the excitement in a lot of these picks. So I'm just going to pick a player that I love watching, that I believe in, that I think had the best hands of last year's rookie class, and it's Jahan Dotson.
Oh, okay.
He's going to work opposite Terry McLaurin, benefit from softer coverage, and you know what? I think the Washington Commanders, this is not a hot take, are probably going to be playing from behind, so the volume should be steady. Give me Dotson.
Mike has them finishing with the 3rd worst record in the NFL next year. I'm just trying to get Commanders fans mad at Mike.
Yeah, bring it. Yeah,
so that when I
have to throw the ball a lot, though. So it's good
that's
for
a good
Jahan
point right
Dotson.
there.
Yeah,
3rd worst with that defense?
Yeah, good defense, but they're really Sam Howell, one NFL start. I mean,
you two Eagles fans.
Yeah. Oh no,
There's a lot
their
of Sam
fallback
Howell
options,
doubters
Jacoby
here.
Brissett.
I know.
A lot.
Wow.
I have some.
And how do you feel about that?
I don't know. I like Dotson. I thought he was on my list. That was
Anita Marks with the final pick here of round 8.
Yeah. So I'm going to go wide receiver here.
Okay.
I'm going to go Treylon Burks.
All right.
Ooh, all right.
Because I think, and granted, yes, you're absolutely right. Obviously you had turf toe, right? Stephania had turf toe last year, dealt with asthma, but reports out of Titans camp is that he just has looked great, and I think with DeAndre Hopkins there getting a lot of the attention from opposing defenses in their secondary, I think it's really going to open up things for him. And as we've seen, second-year wide receivers, that's when they blossom. So I'm going Burks here.
8 rounds down, 4 to go. Anita Marks will be back with round 9 pick in just a moment here, but we want you to be a part of the action as well, as we are closing in on 2 million drafted teams. If we get to 2 million during this broadcast, Mike Clay and Daniel Dopp will both do the rest of the draft shirtless. Mike voluntarily, Daniel has just agreed to do so.
We don't even need to reach 2 million for that field. I'll do it right now.
You're the OG.
Maybe it should be 3 million then. More of the ESPN Fantasy Football Marathon rolls along in just a couple of moments.
Welcome back to the Simulcast. Skubie Mageza here with Erin, Dolan. Immediately, what stood out to me the most right there is the fact that Adam Schefter got Dalvin Cook. You guys heard it right here that he was eyeing for him. The Eagles and Jets roster just completely stacked, but you got to feel happy for him. He got who he was targeting.
He got who he was targeting. I'm not sure many people were looking to grab Dalvin Cook, I guess. I don't know. It's just crazy. He's got Breece Hall and Dalvin Cook. Maybe that'll work out for him, though.
Honestly, Dalvin Cook in the 8th round, a guy that has potential top 15 finish in fantasy, that's a great pickup. When you think about fantasy, it's always about value, where you're drafting your guy. And at that point, you get Dalvin Cook in the 8th. he finishes in a better point in the season, you got great value at that point.
Absolutely.
And we're going to have Dan Graziano come in and join us to speak about what he's been doing in the draft so far. Do we have Dan? Not yet. Okay, so before Dan
I just wanted to mention about Dopp and Cook and the Breece Hall thing. He can't really go wrong. Those are going to be the starters. So either way, he's going to be able to get some points for sure from either of them.
Yeah, 100% true, Erin. Now we welcome in Dan Graziano. Dan, I was looking at your roster. What I will say is you have one of the most balanced rosters out there right now. And I'm looking at Liz's roster. She only has, what, one running back. No, she got 2 running backs. 2 running backs, and it's not looking good for her. Dan, your team is looking great. Tell us about how you're feeling so far and what's your favorite pick?
Look, I mean, a lot rides on Josh Jacobs, right? Like, that team looks a lot better if he shows up, right? If he doesn't, I'm a little thin at running back myself. But, yeah, favorite pick, I mean, I love being able to get DK Metcalf where I did. I'm high on Brandon Ayuk as a guy that I think could pop and be like almost a number 1 or a high number 2 this year. So, yeah, really happy with the way the board has fallen, the way I've been able to take advantage of it. Justin Herbert at quarterback, just thrilled with that. Yeah, we're very fired up here at Team Graziano.
And now that we're this deep in the draft, Dan, I have to ask you, you know that somebody got taken that you wanted. So who was that player?
Well, actually, just now, Liz took Jahan Dotson, who was on my list to maybe take at this next turn. I haven't had one that like ripped my heart out. Anita Marks took Travis Etienne earlier. I was going to take him on that next turn, but there's a couple that kind of like, I wish, but no. Fundamentally, again, very, very excited, very happy, and eager to see how the second half of the draft goes. This is where teams are built, you know.
All right, appreciate it, Dan. We're going to let you get back onto the draft. And Dan right now does not have a tight end on his roster. I'm sure it's on the horizon for him as we look forward, but his team is looking solid, Erin.
It's definitely looking solid, but we're kind of down to the nitty-gritty of this, trying to find players last minute. So it's going to get interesting.
We're heading into the 9th round. Let's see the picks. Back to the draft.
That's right, baby. Go, Bill!
You calculated this one, huh? Wondering to yourself, how many times has Anita Marks changed her shirt tonight? We're going to tell you the answer right now. We went from, to start things off, DeAndre Swift. She just keeps going and going and going and going. It's a halftime act in an NBA game. Well done by Anita Marks. Do you have the largest closet in the history of humankind?
Like, that's really impressive.
So I had to buy a dresser because it's not just football. It's, you know, I have NBA, I have hockey.
If you had to guess how many T-shirts you have,
at least 500.
Wow.
I mean,
I thought I had a lot of T-shirts.
Do you fold them or do you hang them? Do we iron because they're all so neat?
So actually, this was I fold them, but the topic of discussion was, do I arrange them? I'm very OCD. Do I arrange them on teams, in regard to teams, or do I arrange them in regard to position players?
Or color,
What about color? Yeah, that's what drives me crazy.
I went with position players. So I've got like all my quarterbacks on one level, all my running backs are on another, all my wide receivers, tight ends, defense.
Wow. And then do they go in like order of like how you're ranking them at that moment?
It goes with the news of the day.
Hey, we are here in the final hour of the ESPN Fantasy Football Marathon 2023 version, of course, in the midst of our fantasy mock draft. Round 9 is upon us. Mrs. T-shirt, Anita Marks is back up.
So this is difficult, right? I'm thinking Herbert.
More difficult than organizing a T-shirt dresser.
Right, and I do not have. Actually, I do have a DeAndre Swift shirt. It is at home. I'm going to go Swift here, just because I feel like, you know what, he's going to be.
Sure, of course.
Yeah. Again, I'm happy.
We're going to lose Liz for the final hour of the show.
You're going to owe her a whole bottle by the time we're done.
I have some reservation here because the Eagles don't necessarily throw to running backs, and that's where he made his living in Detroit. I want to believe, because he's such an elusive talent, that will change this season, and I want to believe that they will up their targets to him as a running back this season. So I'm going to go with DeAndre Swift.
Yeah, they were tied with the Bears for the fewest percentage of their targets to running backs last season. So when you have Jalen Hurts, it makes sense, though. Liz, I know you're a little bit disappointed, but who are you taking next?
I mean, I'm not disappointed because I didn't really want him, but it just was the smartest. It was the smartest option, the best available player. But you know what? Like I said, that's not working out for me. So I'm going to just shoot from the gut. And who do I want to root for? I want to root for Khalil Herbert. I want to root for the Chicago Bears. And I know that Rashawn Johnson is the rookie with all of the hype. But I think Herbert, at least at the top of the season, will lead this backfield. And there certainly, with David Montgomery no longer there, as Dopp mentioned earlier, there are touches to go around.
There are some interesting names still on the board, but one Bears running back comes off the board. That's Khalil Herbert. Back to Adam Schefter at pick 83.
Yeah, I'm going to continue to stack the way I like to stack, the way I have been stacking throughout the draft.
Wow.
And I'm going to go with the compliment to Calvin Ridley, Christian Kirk.
Wow, I like that one right there. Christian Kirk, the Jaguars' leading receiver a season ago.
Yep.
Perhaps winds up being of value if he plays in 2 wide receiver sets this season. Eric Moody, you're back up.
Okay, I am back up, and I am ready. Team Moody selects Marquise Brown.
I like it.
I'm surprised.
Way too long.
I am surprised that he's available. He had a great start to last season. Remember, without DeAndre Hopkins, while he was suspended for 6 games. He ended up averaging 10.7 targets and 18.3 fantasy points per game. I'm not really concerned about the quarterback situation. Targets are targets.
Right. I'm just concerned about Kyler Murray's attire for practice recently.
That's a good point.
Yep, Other than that, we are all clear. Negandhi, back up on the board.
Michael Pittman's sitting right there. I don't know about down the road Anthony Richardson's ability to throw accurately down the field. That is a concern of mine. Michael Thomas is sitting there too, and I really like him. But I am going to go with Brandon Cooks.
Ooh, like it. Steady Eddie,
just because it's that second option for Dak.
Look at you. First of applause from Schefter, too.
You're going to be in trouble.
I'm surprised at you taking a member of the Dallas
you're gonna be in trouble.
Cowboys.
He'll be on the bench.
That's why you took him, so he can't play.
McKenna's in bed right now already.
That's right. Field, we got time for a quick stat.
We got time for all kinds of stats.
So I like that pick a lot. You know, since 2014, like Cooks is only one of 7 players in the league to actually have 8,500 receiving yards and at least 45 receiving touchdowns.
Wow.
Other players in that group, DeAndre Hopkins, Travis Kelce, Devontae Adams. I really like that pick. He was going to be on my radar for the next round, but wasn't meant to be.
Not even 30 years old.
It was just
amazing.
Which is amazing. He's not even 30.
Yeah, it's great. And he's been traded, 4 times?
Yeah.
Correct.
He's the Eric Dickerson of this generation. Daniel, you're up.
I'm at a spot field where I don't have a tight end, and literally everyone else in this draft has a tight end, except for the one guy next to me named Mike Clay.
Oh, you're going to snipe him
And
right now.
I
You'll love to see it.
One guy here that I still like, and his name is Patrick Freiermuth.
Wow. You know what? I'm not even going to take the tight end now. I'm not even going to do it.
Second greatest athlete in the history of the Brooks School.
Yeah, I believe that he is. Yeah, I feel there are a few good ones coming out of the Brooks School. But honestly, Pat Freiermuth is going to be fantastic this year. I'm expecting more out of Kenny Pickett. Didn't get in the end zone a whole lot last year. Big body. I'm in on it. Honestly, I was trying not to think about my analysis for the pick because I just wanted to watch the misery that was Mike Clay for the next 30 seconds.
He's very upset.
I'm not drafting a tight end now, just on principle. I'll pick one up off waivers or something.
Is that what you're going to do?
I'll probably pick
I think that's actually not allowed.
Yeah,
I think you were required to pick a tight end.
No one told me
Fill
that.
out your roster.
Okay, everybody, you know what? This is a good time.
No,
this is a good time for us to reveal to the audience. This is Mike Clay's first fantasy football draft. The way it works is you got to take one tight end. That's the rule.
Is Tyler texting you jokes or something?
Wow. No Tyler text. I don't think. Do I have Tyler's number? I'm not big time enough.
If Tyler were here, he would tell you to draft a guy named Tyler.
Oh, he would.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Stephania Bell up. 87.
Let's see. I'm just filling out my bench, so I am looking at players who intrigue me because I know I don't have to start them, and I can watch and see, kind of see how some of these young players develop. And I'm looking at Jackson Smith and Jigba.
Like it. All righty.
Is who I am taking now.
All right, Dan Graziano had a chance to have all 3 of these Seahawks wide receivers. He instead wound up with just DK Metcalf. That brings us to
the best one.
Mike Clay.
Not for long.
Confirmed. Wow. Mike Clay, pick number 88.
Okay, so I was looking at, again, we're talking bench, right? Yeah, I was looking at Pat Freiermuth. And then, since I wasn't going to take Pat Freiermuth, and now I'm banned against tight ends, I'm not taking them, I was looking at either Jackson Smith and Jigba or another potential breakout wide receiver. So I'm going to go to the best offense in the NFL, Kansas City, and take Sky Moore. Year 2, potential breakout. He's running with the starters.
Yep.
And I'm not worried about Marquez Valdez-Scantling, who's the other starter taking many targets, right? He's a clear-out option. Sky Moore in line for a big breakout.
Okay, I like that pick right there. I will take the player that I was really hoping would last until this pick. It's Jordan Addison, my pick for the best rookie wide receiver. He is my pick for sleeper, breakout, you name a category. I think he's primed for a massive role in that Minnesota offense. High pedigree player, excellent route runner. He is fast,
Yes,
on and off the field, some might say. So Jordan Addison makes his way to Team Yates at pick number 89. And that brings us to Dan Graziano for pick number 90. I am all in on Jordan Addison this season.
Yeah, that's exciting. I like the young guys, but I mean, like, I got a 5th-round grade on Michael Pittman. Like, Richardson's got to throw it to somebody, and that's the guy, right? Like, I just feel like
that was very Mel Kiper. You get a 5th-round grade.
I got a 5th. He's in my 5 column. He's the only one left in the 5 column. Clay just took the only guy so far that isn't even on my board at all.
Wow, the first UDFA.
I do. I got him ordered, and I'm going to go with Michael Pittman. Yeah.
I'm telling you, it's something about the glasses.
Yeah.
They give you a...
I'm worried because they keep going further down.
This is working fine.
There's an aura about them. There's an aura about you with those glasses on them.
I look up to see you guys, and I look down and see here. It's how, you know.
We are now through 9 rounds. 3 more to go here, and we are nearing 2 million drafted teams. What a marathon it's been. By the time we are back, we may be past 2,000 drafted teams.
I might be shirtless.
Please no.
Everyone else is excited.
We're trying to get people to continue to watch, Daniel. I'm not sure that's going to do the trick. We'll talk to you guys in just a few minutes.
You're watching the ESPN Fantasy Football Marathon. Go to ESPN.com/FFL or download the ESPN Fantasy app today.
Welcome back. Scooby Mageza here with Erin, Dolan. I think one thing that really stands out to me in this draft, Erin, is that whatever grade that you have a player ranked in, you need to stick through that through the draft, because it can get to a point where a certain player that you had ranked higher falls to you later on in the draft. Don't get tempted. Stay with who you are. Absolutely. And as for Michael Pittman, that's why Graziano was able to draft him at this point.
Yeah, but definitely just a little bit worried that, you know, there's going to be a rookie starting quarterback in Anthony Richardson. So depends on how he looks.
All right, we got Eric Moody joining us right now. And Eric, I think I loved the best part from the draft with you. The one that I loved the most was when you picked James Cook and you were clapping out loud to the person who wanted to draft him. Tell me about your faith in James Cook and why you felt so excited to have him on your team.
Yeah, I was really excited about Cook at that stage of the draft. We look at his average draft position, but also the potential. Like, he's in the Buffalo Bills offense of Josh Allen, really one of the most productive offenses in the league. And what I like about Cook is that they've been very adamant in the media that Cook is the guy. He's the starter. He has 3-down back potential. And when you look at how effective he is as a receiver out of the backfield and also as a runner, solid RB2 for your fantasy football team, in my opinion. So that is why I was excited.
Oh, yeah. Eric, I have to ask you, what pick had you most upset? Was it that you missed out on Brandon Cooks?
Yeah, I like Cooks. I felt like he was going to go sooner than expected. Like this upcoming round of the draft, I was going to target Brandon Cooks. But I would say one pick that did kind of slightly upset me, I was like, wow, I really wanted that player, was Alexander Mattison. Great opportunity with the Vikings to be their starter. Very productive in games without Dalvin Cook. But James Cook was ultimately ended up being my contingency plan, so I'm okay with it, Erin.
Eric, we just hit 2 million people to sign up on the fantasy app. And real quick, we got about 20 seconds. J.K. Dobbins, a guy who just came back to camp. Are you confident?
You know, I am confident in Dobbins. Baltimore Ravens, you know, great team, lean heavily on the run, and Dobbins played great last year. I anticipate he can pick up where he left off, so very comfortable with him as my RB3 in this league.
All right, great team that you got right now, and great stuff. Appreciate you. Good luck rest of the way.
No, thank you. Until next time.
No problem. Erin, I'm loving the team that Eric has right now. Yeah, just lining up, he's got Chase, Devontae Adams, Mahomes, Aaron Jones, Amari Cooper, Cook, Pitts, Dobbins, and Marquise Brown. It is solid all the way around.
Absolutely. He's got some great receivers in that core, and he's building a great team.
Yeah, absolutely. And J.K. Dobbins, once again, he's back in camp after being away from the team with contractitis. Now let's head back to the fantasy football draft.
Look at that. 2 million drafted teams. We did it. We can all stand up and do that. That's good stuff right there. Thanks for being a part of it.
They told me not to.
Yeah, the shirt has stayed on. This is a PG program, and we've been having a ton of fun here so far during this mock draft.
Liz ingratiating herself to me by roasting Mike Clay right there after he's been roasting my pick. So
last pick in the 3rd round. Mike Clay, too early?
You know what? I wouldn't have done it, but I'll allow it. Talking about Ben Skoranek as an excuse to take Allen Robinson in the 4th round. What are we doing here, man?
I know a few of you out there, based on my draft, may think I'm on some kind of performance-enhancing drug. I'm getting Michael Scott boom roasted all over the place.
Actually, need a minute. I'm still trying to find Allen Robinson in my list.
Oh, God, that was great. And how about this? Tyler Fulgham, who I believe is in Curacao right now on vacation with his significant other, is tweeting about this mock draft, which makes me wonder whether Tyler has enough of a life. Nice pick, Anita. Heard Mike Clay is having another rough draft. What's new? Missed you guys while I'm on the island.
Curious he didn't accept an invite back this year. Curious.
Wow.
What happened last year?
He did not want to take the heat for yet another year.
I don't think so. He's scared.
We are on to round 10. Dan Graziano has put on a sweatshirt but taken off the glasses. I'm nervous his team could unravel right now.
I got to look and see who I was going to pick. Yeah, it did get a little cold in here, right? That's why I put the sweatshirt on. Again, running back, still counting on Josh Jacobs early in the season, I think is the issue there with Josh Jacobs. If he comes back, if he doesn't come back, or if he comes back rusty, I got a guy that I know is going to get the ball in the first couple weeks of the season, and it's Jamal Williams of the Saints.
All right, nice pick right there. One of the best insurance policy running backs in the entire NFL.
How about that? The guy that led the NFL in touchdowns last year goes in the, 10th round?
10th round.
The 10th round.
Top of the 10th.
Pretty impressive right there. We have reached the point of the draft where I like myself some lottery tickets. And a player that I cannot quit right now is Zay Flowers, the first round pick.
No, are you serious? You're not serious.
I don't know.
I'm not saying about you, Nick. I'm screaming in my face.
Sounded serious.
Doesn't it feel real great?
Why do I even use the queue function if you're not going to let me use the queue?
That's a good point. That's a good question. Zay Flowers, the first Boston College receiver taken in the first round in the modern era of the NFL draft. And while Odell Beckham Jr. obviously is a big part of this Ravens passing game, there's been some reporting that maybe Zay Flowers has been the most impressive player amongst the Ravens receivers so far in training camp. Mike, you're up.
That's right. I am, and I am going to still not take a tight end.
Wow.
Sorry about that.
I'm going to go, I'm not really happy about that one. That one still stings. That's right when it got cold in here, too, actually.
It is, yeah.
All right, I'm going to go with A.J. Dillon. I'm going A.J. Dillon.
I like
I've talked about this on the pod quite a bit. Age 28 tends to be the drop-off age for running backs. Only 4% of top 15 performances over the last 5 years have been age 28 or older running backs. Aaron Jones is one of those. A.J. Dillon on the ascent has shown some pass-catching skills as well the last couple of years. I'll take a shot on Dillon here.
Look at that back-to-back Boston. Thank you, Graz. Appreciate you taking note of that, Stephania. No. I want to see, can Stephania, who is a Boston College Eagle that is still active right now? I mean, whatever. Matt Ryan is technically not retired, Stephania, so you could.
That wouldn't be a great pick. I wouldn't go there.
I have no allegiance to Boston College. Did
Hunter
I miss
Long?
something? No.
Just back-to-back Boston College
Oh,
picks.
yeah. No. No.
Only Field and I found this interesting.
Yeah, apparently. I tune you out. See, that's what I do. So that's why I wasn't paying attention. I was busy trying to decide which running back I'm going to take here to stash on my bench. And I think I'm going to take a chapter out of who drafted Jamal Williams. You did. Yeah, see, I was really tuning you out. And I'm going to go with Samaje Perine, who I think is going to get a heavy workload up front. Javonte Williams, who is coming off a big injury, who the Broncos say is going to be ready week 1. But let's not forget, they went out and got Samaje Perine early. You know, they got him and they plan to utilize him, and he's great in pass protection. I think he's going to play quite a bit, even when Javonte comes back. So I will take him and stash him.
Okay. Samaje Perine taken by Stephania Bell. Mike took Javonte just a few rounds earlier. Daniel, I still am very sorry about taking Zay Flowers.
Yeah.
Who are you taking at pick number 95?
If I'm going to have to go with another, well, not if I have to, but I think I want to go with another wide receiver here. And I'm going to go with someone that's been getting a lot of buzz in camp. somebody I think you like quite a bit, Fields Yates, and his name is Elijah Moore.
Dang it, Daniel.
He has been looking really nice for the Cleveland Browns. Tons of buzz in training camp. Former second-round draft pick, a guy that I think has a lot of options here in this offense on the other side of Amari Cooper, hoping Deshaun Watson is better this year. I think he's a really great wide receiver 5. What can I say?
Okay, there you have it. Number 95 is a wide receiver 5.
That's right.
For Daniel Dopp. Kevin Negandhi, round 10.
I'm just filling it up with backups, but there's a guy who's going to get a lot of targets in New England, Juju Smith-Schuster. Yeah. Why not? We'll see how that plays out in that new offense with Bill O'Brien.
At this point, obviously, the opportunity cost not as significant. So Juju, a very reasonable, worthwhile roll of the dice. Eric Moody.
All right, so Team Moody will select Antonio Gibson.
All right.
All right.
Yeah. I'm not going to lie to you, for a second, I thought there was going to be an Antonio Brown pick, and I was like, you know what? That's awfully rogue of you, Moody.
Yeah, I really like Gibson. I'm saying he's a great value, especially if you're looking for an RB3 or an RB4, for your team. I think back to last year, he ranked 9th in yards per route run and 12th in yards per reception. I believe he'll be actively involved in the Commanders' backfield, so it's time to pick him up.
Okay, Antonio Gibson goes pick number 97, Schefter.
There's a guy sitting here. I just think it's worth rolling the dice on Mr. Gabe Davis.
Ooh,
yes.
Okay. You know what,
That's a good one.
Think about this. You're getting him about, 70 picks later than where he went last season?
Exactly.
Maybe 60 picks later?
Let's give it a shot.
That's that is a
I think that's
certainly
a
low
sneaky
risk,
good pick
high
because
upside
he
player.
was playing hurt last year.
Yeah.
He was playing hurt, huh?
He was playing hurt. The Buffalo Bills still have one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. Pick number 99 is back to Liz Loza.
I'm going to take a backup running back who may not be a backup very long because Kenneth Walker has a groin injury and Zach Charbonnet.
Daniel's going through
out
it
of
right
UCLA.
now.
I was going to do that.
No,
stack up my running backs.
He's not going through it. I've been going through it. We're all going through it. And Zach Charbonnet is my glass of Chardonnay to get through this part of the draft.
I actually thought
How much
about
fun are
it,
you having?
But the 49er in me could not take 2 Seahawks. I had to draw the line.
You have a limit, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Understood.
Go Bruins. You get it.
I totally
There
get
are
it.
boundaries around this.
We have reached the triple digits category for picks. Anita Marks, the final pick of round 10.
Oh, here we go. This is number 499.
Let's see which one is it.
Michael
Thomas.
I'm doing it. Why not?
The tag is still on.
Exactly.
Did we forget that at one point in time you could argue that he was the best wide receiver in the NFL?
At what point? It was a long time ago.
It was a long time ago. Now we're hearing that he's healthy. He looks great. He lobbied for Derek Carr to come there. Apparently, from what I understand, you've got a lot of wide receivers in that wide receiving room that are injured. So maybe early on, he's going to get those targets, get back into the game. Michael Thomas, why not? Let's do it.
At one point in time, you could argue that Calvin Johnson was the #1 receiver in the NFL. That was a long time ago, too.
That'll make you feel better about your pick right there. We are through the first 10 rounds of our mock draft. It's been an interesting, sort of adventurous night for Liz Loza. She's on the clock in just 2 picks.
I'm going to go Swift here just because I feel like, you know what, he's going to be.
Sure, of course.
Again.
Fits the bill.
We're
Solid. Look at all the vacated touches.
like it.
Oh, don't you say anything about that. You need to.
Welcome back. Scooby Mageza here with Erin, Dolan, and we're going to have a little fun this time. You know, last place is a place that you never want to be in fantasy draft. And some leagues have what they call punishments. So if you end up in last, the league punishes you. My league has one specific punishment. What we do is, if you are in last place, each person in the league gets a carton of eggs, and it's a firing squad for you to take the eggs.
Is he wearing a helmet there, I hope? Oh my gosh.
And now, so right here's my boy William
Trash
Mothers.
can lid or something.
I mean, Erin, just check it out. I'm throwing lasers at him, but you can be as creative as you want to throw on the gear. here. He said that one hurt. That's what he did.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Besides that, he was fine. He said that one hurt.
Yeah, I'm sure. He's probably bruised for weeks. Real questionable.
We might as well be called the Egg League with the way that we're running stuff. But my friend Danny Fitzpatrick and Will Weathers were the last two to get egged. Shout out to them.
I thought you like getting. They got egged.
Yeah, they got the omelet supreme. We asked a couple other people in your TikTok what their punishments were, but we'll get to that in a second because we also got another punishment. Throwing eggs is humiliating, but how about having to travel the entire country?
Oh my goodness.
For getting punished. This is from our ESPN stats eye, Kevin Pulsifer, and he flew from Hartford to Baltimore to Orlando to Dallas to LA to Vegas to Denver to Harvard in 36 hours. First of all,
how much? Who paid for this? Because that seems an expensive little.
I don't know how much money this league has. And then another punishment that we got to show you guys is how about a boat made of milk jugs? This man's here had to create a boat of milk jugs, and he had to travel 4 miles to the other side of the lake. And it took him
dangerous.
4 hours to do it.
Yeah,
his buddies followed him, but punishments get real.
Punishments do get real. When I posted this and asked people to let me know some of the worst ones they do, keeping it appropriate, of course, the one that kept coming up was getting a tattoo, which is crazy, and also doing like the Waffle House thing where you do the 24 pancakes in 24 hours and you can leave whenever you finish it.
The Waffle House one is hilarious, and I've seen it. Our producer Zach is trying to come up with a punishment for his league. But to everybody out there, it makes your fantasy football league so much fun when last place has to get punished, because for those that like to get out of it at some point in the year, well, you got to pay up, big fella, if you decide to not show your face for the last week of the season.
You do not want to come in last. That is like a fear of just the punishment.
Yeah. All right. For everybody that's in the chat, we would love to hear what punishments you have in your league so we can toss them out there, because I know y'all got some creative, hilarious ones for us to read off. But we got Round 11 coming up next.
Round 11, we're moving.
Some sleepers here that could be of great value. Let's check it out.
ESPN Fantasy Football is the #1 fantasy game with the season right around the corner. Get your league started now at ESPN.com/fantasyfootball. We're back for round 11. Take a look at the best available on the board. Still include the likes of Deshaun Watson, also Cortland Sutton of the Denver Broncos, and, of course, Evan Ingram, the franchise tag recipient, eventually got a 3-year deal. We have surpassed 2 million drafted teams, 2,015,000 and counting. Great to have you back here for round 11. Anita Marks, you are on the clock.
I totally forgot. We were having such great conversation in the break.
Yes, we were.
I totally forgot. I'm up.
This is your chance to take your time.
I was trying to distract you. It's not live TV or anything. Just think about it.
I don't have a T-shirt for this dude, but Kenneth Gainwell.
Ooh.
I'm gonna go Kenneth Gainwell, running back for Philadelphia. I think, you know, because of the addition of Swift and whatnot, I think we forget that he very well could be the lead back and get a lot of touches, especially touchdowns.
They like him out of the backfield on everything.
You just don't want to play him against the Giants. You need Boston Scott.
Boston Scott against the Giants.
The Giants killer.
That's right.
Liz, I was relieved that you did not react negatively to the Anita Marks pick. Who are you taking at 102?
So I have Lamar Jackson, and part of the reason Lamar Jackson agreed to terms with the Baltimore Ravens was because Odell Beckham Jr. came to Baltimore, and I think this is a great value pick, especially at the top of the season while he's still healthy, even if he has to shake off a little bit of rust.
All righty, Adam Schefter, pick number 103.
I'm going to go with a guy that I considered the last round, who still was. Boy, actually, there's two guys that I'm kind of toying with.
Why don't you tell us?
And you know what? Being that Mike Clay won't take a tight end, I'll take another one.
Hey! Let's go. You got to clear this tier out for me.
And I'm going to triple down on my Jaguars.
All right. Wow.
Do you have a team exclusively of Jets, Eagles, and Jaguars?
That's fine.
I'm asking, do you?
Good players.
Only green. All green team.
And a little teal that'll bring it out,
by the footballs and thinks we can only
These
take
are
green.
awesome, by the way.
Yeah.
Great for the desk back at home. All right, so you took Evan Ingram, pick number 103 for Adam Schefter. Eric Moody, 104.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Did
Team
you
Moody
want
selects
Evan Ingram?
Nico Collins.
Oh, that's a popular pick
and
right
so,
there. That's a nice pick.
You know, I was thinking, like, for my, wide receiver 5 in this draft, might as well prioritize another number 1 wide receiver of a team. And, like, he averaged 9 targets and 12 fantasy points per game from weeks 10 through 13 last season. And the Texans will be much better this year with the new coaching staff. So, saw him on the board, had to make the decision.
Okay, there you have it. Nico Collins, Kevin Negandhi, back for pick 105.
I need depth at running back.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, because you got a guy who might not play.
exactly. I need guys, bodies. And I've gone back and forth here with Jerick McKinnon, but. Who's going to be the Dolphins running back? I come back to that, right?
Great question, yeah.
So
Not
I'm gonna
Dalvin Cook, at least.
Raheem Mostert, just because. I just don't know Jeff Wilson, but I'm just going to go with Mostert because they got to give somebody the ball, and he's fast.
Jeff Wilson, that is a great enough explanation for him. Daniel Dopp, 106. We got a round and a half left.
Round and a half left. I also need a running back. I'm going to take a guy that definitely has some injury concerns, but is one of the most run-heavy offenses in the league. If maybe they decide to not put Jalen Hurts in more of these situations, I'm going to go with Rashad Penny as a potential touchdown upside play here.
Stephania Bell, pick 107. Nice pick right there from
3 Eagles running backs.
I'm loving just stacking up a bunch of wide receivers who I think might have some upside later. Just put them on my bench, and I'm going to go with Quentin Johnston.
Oh, I love that.
Good upside.
Thank you. But does Brandon love it? That's what I want to know.
We'll find out. We'll find out, yes.
So we have all 4 of the first-round wide receivers have now been taken off board. We get to pick number 108, Mike Clay, still without a tight end.
Yeah, I'm going to go. I'm going to stick with wide receiver for now. Again, I'm not taking tight ends. Maybe later. We'll see. We'll get to it. Maybe later. We'll see.
Yeah. Start doing some squats, maybe.
Maybe. I see what you did there. Smart. I only do upper body, not lower body. But anyway, I'll take Jacoby Myers.
Tight end show.
It's a tight end joke.
I'm going to take. Yeah, I got it. I'll take high floor Jacoby Myers. Got a nice contract to go out to Las Vegas this season. May not score a ton of touchdowns, but I think he's a very underrated player in drafts this year.
All right, because I think the world of Kevin Negandhi, I am just going to pair. Actually, you know what? There are 2 running backs available that kind of have sort of similar profiles to me. Like, not exactly sure what we're going to get from them week in and week out because they're in a crowded backfield. I'll go with Brian Robinson. I need a little bit of running back depth there because I have a ton of receivers. All right, that brings us to pick number 110, Dan Graziano, final pick of round 11.
Yeah, I still think I need to be taking some running back depth, but I don't like any of these guys.
I know, it's tough.
It's a little
It thins out quickly, doesn't it?
Here at running back, I guess I could take another Miami running back and just sort of guess and say, how about the rookie there? How about A-Chain in Miami? It's a little upside pick there.
There you go. I mean, a lot of Dolphins running backs all of a sudden taken there.
But we don't know who it's going to be, right?
We do not know who it's going to be. A-Chain, a very, very fast player out of Texas A&M. But at this point of the draft, you're looking for those lottery tickets.
That's right.
11 rounds down, 2,020,000 plus teams drafted. Do not miss the final round of our mock draft coming up next.
Welcome back. Skubie Mageza here with Erin, Dolan. This was the part of the draft that I said people are going to have to draft for some value. We saw some value in people reaching for some running backs. The first one off the board was Kenneth Gainwell. That's your boy. How you feel about him?
I don't know how I'm feeling about that. I mean, look, I don't know. I'm feeling, you know, DeAndre Swift. We already talked about him and how great I thought he was going to be. But Kenneth Gainwell, I mean, yeah, it is what it is. I'm not sure I'm loving it.
We just had Stephania Bell's roster up on the screen for you, and it's because we're going to have Stephania join us right now. And Stephania, how are you doing, first of all?
I'm good.
Look, where are the shades?
We're drafting fantasy football. What could be better?
So, Stephania, Cooper Kupp, I know you've been raving on about him. We got a couple of minutes real quick. Just tell us about how confident you are in his injury and his rehab.
Well, here's the thing. Cooper Kupp, when he tore his ACL, I heard stories from the Rams about how Cooper Kupp helped them design his rehab program so it would be tailored specifically to what he needed to do out on the field, and that he was there every single day working like crazy. And he had one of the best seasons coming back from that injury that a player has ever had. Usually it takes a couple of years. So that told me all I needed to know about the way he rehabs from injuries. The hamstring strain that he had in the preseason was very mild by all accounts. They are expecting him to be ready week 1. And look, over the last 5 seasons, outside of the ACL and then the ankle injury that ended his season last year, he played for 3 seasons in between those 2 and only missed 1 game.
How do you feel like compared to everybody else now that you're looking at your draft, top to bottom? Do you think you're going to be one of the top people in the top tiers? You're liking what you already got?
I love what I've already got. Like, I have
that's what we want.
Yeah, I'm totally confident with it. Look, Cooper Kupp was going as one of the top 2 or 3 players off the board. So when he fell to me, I already knew I was ahead. I got a strong running back in Nick Chubb. Everybody I've got behind them only boosts my roster. I got George Kittle, who's one of the top-rated tight ends, and I got him at a value price. So, yeah, I'm happy.
Thank you, Stephania. We got to let you go. Good luck the rest of the way.
I love that confidence.
It is so true about Cooper Kupp. For everybody listening out there, he's definitely a player you can get for a steal because everyone seems to be afraid about this hamstring injury, and it's not that big of a deal.
Any injury is going to be impacting this and whatnot. So we'll be talking more about that after this break.
ESPN Fantasy Football is the #1 fantasy game, and with the season right around the corner, get your league started now at ESPN.com/fantasy football. Plus, of course, you know we have one preseason game. It's Ravens Commanders, Week 2, Monday Night Football. You'll have Joe Buck, you'll have Troy Aikman, you'll have Lisa Salters. It'll be awesome. Back here for the final round of our ESPN Fantasy Football Marathon mock draft. Take a look at round number 11. Some lottery tickets, if you will. Those include both young and old. You got guys like Nico Collins on the young side and Odell Beckham Jr. on the more experienced side. Final 5 picks: Quentin Johnston, Jacoby Myers, a couple of AFC West wide receivers, plus 3 running backs, including a rookie in Devon Achane going to Graz at pick number 110. Graz is up for pick lucky number 111.
I don't have a tight end yet. I need a tight end. I've been told that's in the rules.
Seems a good strategy, yes.
So I like this is a guy I had as kind of a sleeper, but there's still like a whole bunch of guys left. Anyway, rookie quarterback's best friend, tight end. I'm going with Dalton Schultz in Houston as my tight end.
Okay, Dalton Schultz, pick number 111. First pick of the final round. That gets us to me, and I am, I believe, the only person that is not yet taking a quarterback. And, you know, I know this guy has been discussed very little over the past 6 months, specifically here on ESPN. So I will take Aaron Rodgers, New York Jets, new quarterback. At this point, there's kind of a lot of quarterbacks that are sort of that similar tier. I do think that Rodgers bounces back, and his top receiver went like 8 overall, so he must be looking pretty good for fantasy.
That's all you need is Garrett Wilson. He's going to be, you know, he has the upside to be the #1 overall scorer at wide receiver. In fact, I think because I took him, he probably will be the #1 overall scorer.
And if that happens, it means that Aaron Rodgers will be good.
That's right.
Hashtag good.
Aaron Rodgers.
Are you grading the teams at the end of this or no?
Yeah, and you just went up a full grade.
Wow. Is it possible to go from A to A++? We'll find out.
I can maybe do better than that. We'll see.
Don't miss.
All
right, so Aaron Rodgers rounds out my team. I finally have a quarterback, Mike. You need a tight end very badly.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to take one, but you're the commissioner and changing rules during the draft. So I guess I will take David Njoku in Cleveland.
Nothing wrong with that.
Bit of a breakout last season.
Yeah.
He was good. Actually, his target share went up a lot down the stretch last season, so whatever. It's a safe mid-round pick. I'll take him.
So many interesting options for Stephania Bell at pick number 114. Which direction are you heading?
So I was debating. I thought just for fun I'd take a defense and make everybody go absolutely nuts at the table, but I'm not going to do it. But I am going to continue. Yeah, I could. I could.
You're a trailblazer in many ways.
I am, but I'm enjoying taking a couple of these rookies that I think are going to be stars. So I'm going to add another running back, and I'm going to go with Tank Bigsby.
Like that. Tank Bigsby, the third-round pick out of Auburn to complement Travis Etienne, who went to, I believe, Anita Marks back in round 3. So Bigsby who has been getting some goal line work so far in the preseason, is pick number 114. Daniel Dopp on the clock, pick number 115.
Yeah, this is the last pick for us, correct, Field? So I think what I'm going to do is, I love my wide receivers, Tyreek Hill, Stephon Diggs, Keenan Allen. I'm going to go with the only first-round wide receiver from last year that's still on the board.
Oh, boy.
I know it is.
And his name is Jameson Williams.
I like it.
Add him in now. I think
Lions.
that is a really exciting late-round flex play to be able to throw someone out there, man. Come on.
You will miss the first 6 games of the season due to violating the league's gambling policy. Mike, you okay with this pick of Jameson Williams?
No. That's an overpick. Too early for a guy that's. I mean, the opportunity cost of taking a player like that means that, you know, in a normal league that you're playing out, you're going to want to work waivers in the first month and a half of the season.
Yeah.
You're not going to be carrying a 0 on your roster for that long.
Wow.
So he's not
when
proven,
that 0 was on my bench, I do not mind. He's a bench player for me.
Shefty, did you have something to add there? You kind of agree with Mike's assertion, it seems like.
You know, we had this debate on DeAndre Hopkins last year, and while you can't deny the talent of DeAndre Hopkins nor Jameson Williams, he has not proven it. And now you got to carry the guy on your bench for 6 weeks. You're handcuffed there for 6 weeks. When people and stars are developing early in the year, that's one spot you don't have any flexibility. I don't like it. That's me.
This from the guy who only has players from 3 teams.
Yeah, right? Serious. 4.
A robust 4. There we go. Kevin Negandhi, for your final pick, hopefully McKenna has been texting you.
No, it's bedtime for McKenna. As well as Noah and Brandon. Yeah. So I'm going to pull a flyer here, and there was a scare today.
Okay.
But the news seems to be okay out of camp. I'm just going to go with Justin Ross of the Chiefs.
I know.
Just because.
Justin Ross? Wow.
Why not?
Justin Ross.
If he stays healthy, and that has been the storyline at Clemson, and
Great
if you
story.
could just stash him and see what happens, what do we got to lose in that Chiefs offense?
Remember, there was an incredible Clemson offense that had some superstar wide receivers on it, and Justin Ross was that leading receiver as a true freshman, by the way. So plenty of talent there for Justin Ross.
And then in the knee injury today, I think he was carted off, but they said okay.
He walked off initially, so
Okay.
Yeah.
I also learned recently from Stephania Bell that oftentimes teams will just use a cart, even if the injury is known to be insignificant.
Because they got to go a long ways. So
yes. I feel better now.
Eric Moody, how you liking your draft so far?
Yeah, I like it. Yeah, I like the players that I
I'll be the judge of that.
I guess Liz. Yeah, Mike will be the judge of that. Can I give you some money under the
Yes, you can. Yes, you absolutely can.
We're talking about, like, you know, Justin Ross and Jameson Williams. But I think everyone's forgotten about Cortland Sutton. So that's who Team Moody will select. And, you know, you got a new head coach in Sean Payton there. You know, Sutton's been doing his homework actually on Michael Thomas, really studying his record-breaking 2019 season. So I think he's a solid wide receiver 3 or flex. So that's my selection.
There you have it. The final pick for Eric Moody is Cortland Sutton. Shefty back on the board. Will he take a player not from one of the 4 teams that he already has stacked up?
It sounded like you wanted Cortland Sutton.
Yeah, I was going to take him. That was going to be my pick. So we'll go right now with.
There's still some Eagles.
There's another Denver wide receiver out there, Adam, if you want to go back to your hometown roots.
Who's that?
I believe Mims is still available, is he?
Marvin Mims.
Yeah, you know what? We're going to go.
I get him later.
Yeah, we're going to go with Rondale Moore.
All right. Good pick.
Yeah, good
I'm
production.
just trying to get it good with Mike Clay.
Shefty, you now have between the Jaguars and the Eagles players, you may start really hot, but weeks 9 and 10 are going to be big bye-week problems for you. Are you concerned about that at all?
No, with that.
I'm not. I'll worry about it at that time.
Okay, yeah.
I like that pick. I mean, Cardinals are a team that we're worried about their defense. They should have to throw the ball a ton this season. Maybe Kyler does come back and play half the season, and they have Marquise Brown as the 1, and the 2 is a big question mark. It should be the former second-rounder Rondale Moore.
We have 2 picks left. We go over to the power corner here. Liz Loza and Anita Marks. Liz, 119. No pressure here.
So, you know, I really want to take Kadarius Toney because we know when he's healthy how good he is. But a meniscus tear on the first day of practice,
Don't do it.
I just can't get myself to do it, and I'm not going to do it. And you already got your shirt on? No, you don't. It's red. I don't know.
He has a shirt on, though, to be clear. Yes.
Yes. So I'm going to take. I am not on Team Christian Watson because I think he's Deontay Johnson in the upside down. I know you can. You're going to bomb my grade, so I'm going to take Romeo.
Yes.
Romeo.
Great pick, Liz.
All right, Romeo Dobbs, second to last pick of the draft, which brings us to Anita Marks. And if you have a T-shirt available for, you do. For
I
a
do.
player going
Actually, this
120
is
over.
for Brandon.
Oh.
Trying to get Brandon to
Anita, forget Miss Stephania. That's Miss Anita.
This is a good one, especially
Is he
in
up?
the
Is he
joint
still up?
practices.
Is he in bed yet?
He is up. He is up. Right.
Okay.
He's the only Jalen Carter, who was fantastic so far in the Browns' joint practices.
You guys thought I was kidding earlier. Literally, then
I was going to say, is that in
I
case
am
you
going
took
to
the
take
Eagles?
Kadarius Toney.
Oh,
We heard Travis Kelce come out and say, how did the Giants allow Kadarius Toney to get out of their facility?
Yeah.
He didn't understand. I think at this point, I'm going to risk it. I'm going to risk it if he can stay healthy. Dude is a video game. Talk about joystick.
But are they going to use him? Last year, even with the Chiefs, he averaged 13 snaps a game. He was barely even on the field. Is that what he's going to be? Is he going to be a gadget guy his whole career? You know, he's not.
Here's the thing, Mike. We don't know. He has to stay healthy.
I mean, late round flyer, it's fine.
The track
Round
record
12.
is not working in
I
your
understand.
favor.
I understand.
Yeah.
But
I
now
understand. I'm willing to take that risk right now. I'm willing to
In-season
take
trades
that
are
risk
really
right
tough
If
to
you're
get
going
in
to take a
offenses,
gadget
right?
guy, you want Andy
But
Reid,
he's
gadget
already-
guy.
Right. That's a good point.
That's a good point.
I think they have plans for him. My question is just he's going to miss all of camp. Like,
He
that's
is,
that
yeah.
setback.
Pretty much.
By the way, we're in the 12th round, so that's the time to take him. My point is I'm just very angry with him because I'm on a lot of dynasty teams.
Mike Clay
for years.
projecting his frustration onto Anita Marks.
I want it to
draft
happen.
picks.
I want it to happen.
Move him to tight end.
The Chiefs could probably find a way to
Chestnut
make that
checkers
work.
over here.
There you go.
Yep.
We have made 120 total selections. That pales in comparison to the number of picks that have made on the over 2 million drafted teams. Look at that, 2,033,000 and nearly 700 drafted teams. What a couple of days it's been. We'll be back to recap our mock draft, and Mike Clay is handing out some grades.
Welcome back. Skubie Mageza here with Erin, Dolan for one last time. Thank you guys for hanging with us. That was the final round that we seen them just throw down in there. Any surprises for you as you look back as to what they're able to do?
Well, I feel like there's just been so many surprises that we've talked about through the whole entire show. But I guess the interesting thing to me is, what about these players that are doing the holdouts and the contract negotiations?
Mm-hmm.
What's going to end up happening with that? That is very interesting to me for what's going to happen to some of these drafts.
Yeah, Kadarius Toney is definitely going to be an interesting one. Now we got Kevin Negandhi coming in. And Kevin, do you still have that shirt that Anita hooked you up with? Can you hear us?
I can hear you guys. Yeah, I had the Jalen Carter shirt down there. That was really cool. By the way, I didn't even know they made shirts like that. Anita's got the greatest closet ever.
Seriously.
Thousands of shirts.
Shirts on deck. So your kids were helping you throughout the draft, and now they're probably, it's bedtime. So I want to know, how much did they actually help you? And was there at some point where you were like, all right, that's outrageous. We're not picking him?
Yeah, so you know what was going on? I was taking screenshots of who was available. And my 11-year-old was like, all right, who are we targeting? What position? So then that would eliminate some stuff. So, for example, the quarterback conversation, I was like, listen, we're looking at quarterbacks here because they're coming off the board. And I knew that second tier specifically had Burrow, Lamar, and Herbert. And I wanted Lamar, but then when my daughter, clearly talked to my son, and she wanted Joe Burrow, I was like, we're going to get Joe Burrow because I want to go home and sleep peacefully tonight.
I love that you involved them, but was there a player you weren't able to grab that your kids were really excited about?
Yeah, there's actually a handful of them that my 11-year-old, because he kept on saying Stephania's having the best draft. So it's clear that he wanted some picks that Stephania kept on taking. And then the Jalen Hurts one, but I was surprised that Schefter went with Jalen Hurts being the first quarterback off the board. His reasoning makes sense. It was just a surprise to me because I would have just assumed Mahomes is coming off the board first.
Yeah. Really appreciate it, Gandhi. Great draft. I like your team. Tell your kids they did a great job. Hopefully they can help you manage the team throughout the whole season as well, because we know you're a busy guy.
I appreciate that. My 11-year-old's really good. He won the league last year against me, so I trust him.
All right, Kevin. Appreciate you, brother. So
That is too funny.
Yeah, I love how he had his kids help out, and obviously, son of a sportscaster, they know everything. So with Kevin's team, Eagles guy, are you loving it?
No, I'm absolutely loving it. And I think that's awesome. I hope one day my kids are trying to do my picks on that, hopefully one day if I'm on there.
Yeah, I love it. And now that's it for us. We're going to send it back to the fantasy draft. Thank you guys for joining us, and have a great rest of the night.
experts that I'm going to follow throughout that. Wait a second, you're all here. You're all here.
It's got to be
I'm going to take Jahmyr Gibbs.
Yeah.
No! Stephania, you were supposed to make it back to me in the fourth.
If you were a true fan,
If you were a true fan.
I'm going with Rashad White.
What? No! Anita!
I made the costume change at the break.
And no one noticed.
Nobody noticed.
James Cook.
Ooh. No! When you clap for your own pick, it reminds me of Family Feud.
No!
Yes.
No!
Yes.
No!
Yes.
Even better! Give us slice!
Hopefully not upset my neighbor.
Wow.
Taking Jalen there?
I think you're funny.
I think he is. Yeah. 2 million drafted teams. We did it. We can all stand up and do that. Oh, we are back. What a night it has been. You see the drafters right there. What a time to be alive. We are here now to critique their teams, give out some grades. But before we do that, we do want to hear from the individual drafters here, Mike Clay. I believe Anita Marks led us off. Pick number 1 overall, Anita. Let's walk through your team. Tell us what was going through your mind with some of your picks.
Well, Justin Jefferson I was anticipating that. I know I kind of threw you guys off there with C-Mac, but and then coming back, I was really hoping that I'd have some other options like Amon-Ra St. Brown. But I went Joe Mixon. Also, I was hoping possibly Nick Chubb would still be available. Went Travis Etienne. I know a lot of people feel that I reached there. I love Darren Waller. If Darren Waller can stay healthy, I'm telling you something. He's going to have an unbelievable season with Brian Dable and the Giants. He's going to use him all over the field. I was hoping for Lamar Jackson. Thank you very much, Liz Loza. So I went with Trevor Lawrence as my quarterback. I think he's going to have a fantastic second year under Doug Peterson. And then just rounding out, listen, I took a flyer on Michael Thomas, expecting him to go back to his phenomenal ways, and then ending with Kadarius Toney, who, again, if he can stay healthy, I think will be really the big stud in that Kansas City offense.
Professor Clay is back.
Yeah. All right. So some concerns here. Wide receiver, a little risky there. Mike Williams, Traylon Burks, Kadarius Toney, Michael Thomas. You have the Lawrence Etienne pair. You're going to really need Etienne's target share to go up from last year. I'm a little worried about the pair in the quarterback with the running back. And you also sniped me a few times, and like a full round earlier. I don't like that. I'm a little irritated about that. C+.
Wow, C+. First grade out the gates. Liz Loza, pick number 2 on the board. Hoping for better than a C+, Liz.
All right, look at this. Austin Ekeler, Amon-Ra St. Brown, T. Higgins, Lamar Jackson, T.J. Hawkinson, Miles Sanders, a little mid. I'll get there.
I actually like Miles Sanders this year.
I don't hate it, but it's just not as exciting as the rest of the picks. That's why he came later. If I look at this roster, DeAndre Hopkins and Jahan Dotson, a perfect example of balance. I am a Libra. We like the scales of justice, and that's illustrated in my draft.
Yeah, I don't know anything about Libras and stuff, but I do know about good
Libras, zebras.
Yeah, I don't need that. But good players here. T.J. Hawkinson, good value. Miles Sanders, good value. Odell Beckham, love him as a late round flyer. Okay. Hero RB build with Austin Ekeler at the top, very interesting. Lamar OBJ stack as well. A.
Oh! Whoa! You know what?
Crushed it.
Can we get a cam on Anita right now?
That gets an A. Thanks for sniping me.
Go ahead and start off.
Thank you for sniping me.
You can gritty off the camera right now.
There is an A in Libra.
Yes. Adam Schefter is up now, 3rd overall pick. Schefty, green team.
Yeah, I just like to stack them all up, be safe. Christian McCaffrey, great value. A.J. Brown, didn't expect to see him there at 18. Jalen Hurts in a 10-team league. I'll roll the dice on a quarterback early. Calvin Ridley, good value. Breece Hall, I went knowing that I'm going to take Dalvin Cook and have the Jets backfield. Kenneth Walker sitting there as a flex. Keep him coming. Dallas Goedert to continue the Eagle stack, complimenting Breece Hall, complimenting Calvin Ridley, a guy who last year was going much higher. More Jags, and a guy that's going to be playing from behind all year long, I think.
So he likes his team, it sounds like.
Yeah, he did. That was a very convincing argument.
My biggest concern about this team is if something happens to Jalen Hurts or Trevor Lawrence, especially Trevor Lawrence, you're in trouble. I mean, you built around those two teams. So it's kind of like almost like a DFS tournament lineup, right? Boom or bust team. And also, you took a backup tight end, and you knew I needed a tight end. I don't like that either. So got to knock you down a little bit. It's a B for Adam.
Okay, Eric Moody next up. Liz Loza, leader in the clubhouse right now. All right, Mr. Moody.
All right, so whenever I draft a team, I like to use positional tiers, take the highest caliber players available and work my way down. Led me to Jamar Chase, solid wide receiver 1. Devontae Adams will be my wide receiver 2 in this bill. Patrick Mahomes, elite QB1. Aaron Jones, solid RB2. He's my RB1 in this scenario. Love Amari Cooper, James Cook. Got a tight end 1 in Kyle Pitts, who could have that bounce back season that everyone is keeping their fingers crossed to expect. So I'm comfortable there. J.K. Dobbins, solid RB3 in this build. Marquise Brown, definitely overlooked. Great flex option with upside. Antonio Gibson, another person that's on the flex that has upside for much more. Nico Collins, another flex option with upside since he's a #1 receiver for the Texans. Cortland Sutton, who knows? He could end up surpassing Jerry Jeudy as the #1 receiver there, but both will be actively involved.
Yeah, okay, so I really like what you did here. 5 of your 6 receivers are their team's #1 receiver, really interesting. One of 2 teams that started wide receiver. I marked down a lot of value picks here. Aaron Jones, Kyle Pitts, Hollywood Brown, love that one, and Cortland Sutton as well. Mr. Moody? A+, sir.
What?
A+.
Whoa. A+.
Crushed it.
You have gone soft.
Let's go.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
Follow that.
It was
soft. Mike Clay.
All right.
Kevin Negandhi's up.
So this was, I felt like the draft changed right there at 5. Going tight end in the first round, unheard of usually, but Travis Kelce is not a normal tight end. Jonathan Taylor, as the draft kept on going, I told Graziano and Schefter, I started feeling really queasy about this pick, just because you don't know. But then Schefter said if he gets traded, I mean, the sky's the limit, right? I love Devontae in the 3rd round. Joe Burrow in the 4th round because my sweet daughter picked that. Dameon Pierce, he's the guy that's going to be the workload, especially when you look at that offense. No idea who's going to be the quarterback, if it's going to be stable or not. I think Madison's one of those quiet picks that can take the load there in Minnesota, especially what you saw in those 5 games when Dalvin Cook was out. I love George Pickens. I'm all about upside. I took a lot of risk with Pacheco as well. Cooks, I'm comfortable with the #2. Juju being the #1. So if you can see, there's a lot of upside, but I could also fall flat on my face depending on things.
Yeah, you said you're queasy about Jonathan Taylor at 16.
Yeah.
That's reflected in your grade a little bit.
Yeah.
I gotta be honest with you. George Pickens also is your I believe he's your #2 receiver here, way ahead of ADP. I like him as a flyer, but a little early on that one. So also, Week 11, 5 teams on a bye, so you got to keep an eye out on that one. Not too worried about that.
The white flag.
Not too worried about that.
Yeah.
Good note from Kevin Pulsiver. Just letting you know, so you get a heads up on waivers on that one. I will go C+ for this one.
I thought you were a real Eagles fan. You're giving me a C+.
Come on. Should have drafted more Eagles. That's what you should have did.
All right, here's a problem. I made fun of Mike Clay a lot during this draft. Yeah, I knew this was coming.
Next.
I was watching Inside the Den. Brad Holmes taught me to draft with conviction, and that's what I did. I don't care about your grade, Mike Clay. Tyreek Hill, Stephon Diggs, 2 of the best wide receivers to start with. Josh Allen, an awesome quarterback. I think fell to me in the 3rd round. That's a little farther than he usually goes. Don't love my running backs. I was hoping someone other than Ramondre would make it to me, but I love Keenan Allen. I waited a little bit, grabbed a guy like James Conner, who has been top 10 3 of the last 5 seasons. My grit dude in David Montgomery. Grit! And then I think I just got some upside guys. Tyler Lockett, Elijah Moore, Jamison Williams, Rashad Penny. I realize there are reasons why we're worried about it, but hey, he's been really good when he's healthy, Mike. And he plays for your Eagles. I want to mention he plays for your Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah, one of 17 running backs they have on the roster.
Wow.
Yeah, look, grit, no fantasy points for grit. We don't have that in scoring yet. We're
You're
working
not
on
playing
that.
in the right fantasy
but that's not
leagues
going to
if you
work
don't
for
have
this
grit
year.
scoring.
Didn't love that. Tyler Lockett, Pat Freiermuth, good picks. You did snipe me on that one, though. Solid team, B-.
I'll take B-. I'll take a B-.
Better than C+. Stephania Bell, #7.
I don't love the idea of Mike Clay grading me.
I'll just give you an A now.
Yeah,
all right?
okay.
Take the pressure off.
Look, Cooper Kupp, that's the hot topic, right? Cooper Kupp falling in drafts because people are concerned with a little bit of a hamstring strain in the preseason. Is he going to stay healthy? I have confidence in Cooper Kupp. I've put it on the internet. You can hear my rationale there. Nick Chubb, best running back to me that came to me in that 2nd round. Love him. Jahmyr Gibbs, exciting prospect. Obviously, a little homerism with Deebo Samuel, but I I thought for my second receiver, not bad at all. Kamara, to me, comes in with fresh legs and is going to get his spot after 3 weeks suspension. I mean, I don't need to talk about George Kittle. We know what a great tight end he is. I got him value there. Dak Prescott, to me, for the tier of quarterback that he is, right around that spot, fine for me. And then I was looking for just people to fill my back end of my roster on my bench who have some upside. Yeah, a lot of rookies, but first of all, we're in a 10-team league, so there are going to be a lot of people available on the waiver wire. I have no problem with moving.
Yeah, a lot of late rookies there. I do like the Kamara pick a lot. I will give you a B.
A B?
It is.
A solid
I thought I was getting an A.
B.
I changed my mind. You talked me out of it.
You know what? Last year.
You don't cross the line yet.
Okay, just wait. Wait till I grade your round.
You know what? The bad news
We're
is
almost out of time, actually.
Stephania's life GPA just dropped. It's the first B she's ever received. All right, Graziano, pick number 10.
Look, we're thrilled with the way the board fell for us. Look, Saquon Barkley at number 10. This is an elite talent, an anchor piece for our offense. Ceedee Lamb, I think it was a first-round consideration, slipped into the second because somebody took a second-year guy from the Jets. I forget who it was.
Garrett Wilson.
Yeah, that's the guy. I remember that guy. DK Metcalf, as reliable as it gets, a wide receiver. Josh Jacobs, a first-rounder if he's not holding out, or maybe a high second-rounder. But either way, got him in the fourth. Feeling great about that. DJ Moore loving it. Justin Herbert, the quarterback. I had 2 mid-round receivers I really liked. Brandon Ayuk and Jahan Dotson. I got one of them. And then I think, Pittman's good value where I got him. And this is a total flyer. But Akers, I don't know. I could go either way.
Even Pittman, who I don't love this year, you got him pretty late there. Yeah. And also, I'll give you an extra point for the shirt, Blades of Steel. Love that one. We're going B+, Dan Graziano.
Ooh, Dan Graziano gets a B+.
All right, hold on. I want to jump in here. I don't want Mike to be able to grade
Actually, we're out of time.
Lineup.
Oh, I have a grade, too. Yeah.
All right, so Mike, why don't you tell us why you think you had a good draft?
Because I made the perfect pick at every time here. Garrett Wilson was fantastic.
Could have had
Pollard,
this guy
Najee.
at 13. Yeah.
Waddle, Watson. I mean, good luck picking this apart. That's my feedback.
Mike Clay ended last season saying his rule was going to be listen to Stephania Bell. So you are already now knocked down.
What's the grade? Which one's the grade?
I don't love the tight end position, so I'm going to give it a B.
Okay.
B.
What did I do to hurt you? What?
You can just go think about that. Well, you just don't listen to me.
All right, last one here, Mike. I was not expecting Bijan Robinson to fall to pick number 9. Derrick Henry, Mr. Reliable. You guys know I love myself some Chris Olave, also some Jerry Jeudy. Deontay Johnson going to bounce back. Mark Andrews, tight end, too. Feels like a flawless start so far. The back half pretty much continues that theme. I'm all in on Jordan Addison.
Hold on.
Drake London should have some more production this year. Uh-oh, I'm nervous.
What's happening?
Last thing here.
Here's what I'll say, though, about Fields.
Rodgers.
Fields, I think you deserve this. Out of all the drafts, this is the draft that I think I am the most excited about. I want to give you this.
Here.
Yes, please.
Wow.
Great.
Did you feel that way too, Mike, or no?
I gave it a B. I'm a little. I thought Daniel and I were friends, but I'm
B. Aaron Rodgers, put that belt on me. All right, guys. This was a blast over the past 27 hours. We've been having a ton of fun. Over 2 billion. Should be 2 billion. 2 million teams drafted.
Tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll do the math tomorrow. An immense thanks to everybody that's taken part in the fantasy marathon over the past couple of days. It is a team of thousands who puts this all together. So a huge thanks to everybody that's in charge of it. Big thanks to Kate Leonard, who was the mastermind behind this entire event. We've had a lot of fun. Anybody have any last parting thoughts here?
No, this was a lot of fun, and we're going to do it again next year.
I say, Anita, are you okay with Mike still or no?
No, I mean, we're over here. I will buy you all drinks.
All right, the countdown is officially on to the 2024 ESPN Fantasy Football Marathon. Be a part of the movement. Go draft your team right now. Just about 3.5 weeks until we play some real football. Good job, everybody. Thank you for this belt, Daniel. Where's some pride?